What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another review for you guys. We got Brains in the studio today. Big up, Brains. How you feeling after big 3 points last night?
After that incredibly sexy game.
Yeah, exactly. Incredibly sexy game.
It was good, man. It was just such a relief. It's just get the 3 points. Don't fall into seventh. Let's just get the points.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah, and that's what we did last night. Look, let's start off with the first half.
You know what I think we should start off with is the away fans.
Oh, man.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
On TV, it was so loud. You could hear it. They were out singing Fulham fans in Craven Cottage. It was just like, all you could hear is, Daniel Levy, get out of our club. It's like, and then you followed up with the Antonio, and then it's like, you couldn't get a better message across. You know?
Yeah, I know. It was absolutely sensational from the away fans last night. It was like from moment one right until the end, non-stop singing. As soon as the final whistle went, the Levy out chant started going really loud. And it was just a great mixture of support for the team, but then showing your feelings against the ownership. And that's exactly what it should be. Home and away, week in, week out. We need to show our support for the team, but we also need to make our feelings known. And I think that's exactly what happened last night. But I'm so happy that you're saying that came across on TV like it did.
It was real loud. And it's kind of like... I think stuff like that can have an effect on the fans, because on the team, because the team and certain players...
His mic's muted.
Oh, is my mic muted? Oh, okay.
Okay. They're saying in the comments his mic is muted.
I can hear both of you.
Are they both turned up on the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we'll keep going.
Someone's joking with us. Someone's trolling me from the comments like I normally do.
They both turned up on the thing. Last night, look. The way...
It was so loud.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
okay,
fine.
you can't hear me. They
Go
are
on.
trolling me.
We got trolled and we had to actually check it because of you.
But yeah, no, I think that really can help the team, just because, you know, there's like a really, like this mist, this doom and gloom mist. But the fans away, especially, are behind the team. They're behind the manager.
Yeah.
The problem with this club, we all know what it is. You know, when the away fans, you know, who pay money to travel away to these games. Obviously, this wasn't very far, but like to be that loud on TV as well. And obviously, you know, they spoke about it quite at length, and then some of the press has picked up on it today. So I only see good things there for that.
Yeah, you say not so far last night, but actually the effort some fans had to go to get to the game last night. The district line was shut, the circle line was shut. There were heavy delays on all the other lines as well. Literally the only line that was open last night and working properly was the Northern line. So I'm hearing people had to get dropped off somewhere on the tube, get a bus to Victoria, and then 2 buses to Craven Cottage, and it was taking people like 2-3 hours to get to the game last night. So the fans showed up in their numbers, their voices were heard, and I think that was the best thing to come out of last night's game, and it's just something that we need to keep going, albeit that was the last game, Premier League game, until the end of the transfer window now. Not long to go. Obviously, we've got Preston this weekend, which I'm sure the fans will make their voices heard once again. But in terms of the game last night, it was just more or less the same, kind of Spurs only showing up for 45 minutes, or less than 45 minutes, to be honest. First half, I mean, Fulham had us penned into our own half for the majority of it, and we couldn't get out. Our passing was pretty dire from Dyer and Højbjerg, Bentancur with wayward passes as well.
They put themselves under pressure with bad passing, like a pass which goes behind you. So okay, you're playing it to my bad foot. I'm running back now. The press is all on now. It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
you know, it's constantly put each other under pressure. And Romero at the start of the game, I don't know what it was. He made one really lazy movement, lost the ball. Then he did it again, and then he did it again. He did it 4 times in a row. And I was like, wow, he is on a bad one. He kind of turned it around, but it was like, wow, when his head slightly goes, it's quite crazy to see. He's so strong when he's playing with that kind of like fury, but when his head starts to go, or when he's like angry at a player around him, you saw it a couple times. You saw him, he was running back, he was clearing up after someone, he was just screaming at his own players. He has that player, like if he gets so negative, it can ruin his game.
I got a feeling with Romero, like, we're seeing a player right now who's obviously got bundles of ability, but he's not showing it as much as maybe everyone would like. And I feel like once he gets a proper partner next to him, we're going to see the real Romero come through.
Yeah. Do you think he kind of comes back from, like, it's not. You don't win a World Cup every now and then, you know. Like some players go their whole life. Some of the greatest that ever lived never.
Well, you saw what happened with Hugo after he won the World Cup. He started drink driving, making mistakes every week.
Exactly. You could imagine him. I've just spent like a month with Messi, and we did this great thing. Now I have to come back and get lazy, sloppy passes. I can't go back to my keeper. Who's that guy? Doherty, Emerson? What? Like, I don't need this. I'm a World Cup winner.
Doherty or Emerson to the right, Dyer to the left, Lloris behind me, Højbjerg in front of me, and like, what am I doing here?
Stuck in the middle.
Exactly. It's
that
like
used to be Romero's song.
really is, but
Clowns to the left.
what is it, in your opinion, by Spurs? Like, why can we only play for 45 minutes? And why for 45 minutes when we're not playing well? We can't even make a 5-yard pass. I just don't get it.
When we get into that low kind of confidence where things are just shaky, it's like you almost need them. You know, Dyer did something really important last night. I think it was at the start of the second half. I think it was the start of the second half. But they were gathering momentum again. And he went down and he stayed down. And you can see he wasn't. It was nothing really. You see on the replay, never got really.
Yeah.
But he stayed down and he broke their momentum. And those were the little positive things I thought that came out last night. Like just trying to take momentum back. You know that you're all playing gash. Like change the you know, either go long or like just change something for a bit. Kick the ball out, get a breath. Which old stuff you get trained as a kid, you know. But when it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's not as good as it was last season. And this is the thing we have to change. You know, I think there's a lot of factors of was losing the fitness coach a big thing? You know, is this the stuff between Conte and the club? Is this a thing? Does Conte feel that is he galvanizing the players? Are the players really wanting to put what they need to play his system in? You know, because it's to play the amount of games, to play a World Cup, and then to come back and to do his training, to play his system, not easy. You have to have exuberance to do that.
It's true. And do you think that's a factor coming into this season? Like the World Cup maybe kind of drifted people's minds, especially Romero. You know, you got players that went quite far in the World Cup. When you're looking back at the back end of last season, we were defensively solid. We weren't conceding many goals at all. And now we're literally one of the most conceded goals in the whole Premier League.
2 goals a game.
What do you put that down to?
I think that you can't ignore anymore the fact that like the World Cup has done things. You know, like
you think it's the damage?
Look at the table. You know, you can see like really good teams are struggling. Also, like where squads are in their progression. We're at a really weird place. We finished last season well with like 14 maybe really good fit players. Yeah. We had to not just get 6 players. We had to get a lot of players. Even like we had to re-recruit the youth and be bringing more players through. We had to do a lot of work, and we definitely didn't do that. I'm not sure like the trip to South Korea, in retrospect, was really the right thing to do. Killing them out there, like playing a lot of these little games, like you know, I'm not sure if it would have just been better to like just have a complete focus on a squad build and do all the work you had to do. You know. I think we look lazy at times. I think we look unconfident most of the time. You know, it seems like we only believe that we've only got 45 minutes. Yeah. Like, because we're worried about injuries, you know. Because you look at that World Cup, you could make a team. You could pick like some of the best players, and you'd be going, a lot of these are Spurs players. You know, like Perisic looks like world class all of a sudden. You know, like Højbjerg, like all these players. Bentancur was they were all talking about him at one point as one of the best midfielders in the World Cup.
He was, yeah.
And then like you kind of like bring them back in Spurs shirts, and you kind of can see that there is this mentality thing. And Conte is the person who can bring a mentality to a club, but you got to back him. You can't have someone being the head of the mentality and the culture they're trying to put in if you're messing with his mind. You know what I mean? If you're like, we want you to be confident, we want you to make them confident, but we don't really back you. We don't really trust you. Yeah. What's that going to do to them?
Yeah, it's 100%.
So it's all a knockdown.
100%.
You know?
And that's why this club is just in a complete mess from top to bottom, because no one trusts each other. Levy don't trust Conte because Conte's not going to sign on the dotted line and get past it, so he's not going to get backed. The players that we've got now, half of them or majority of them are not good enough, and Levy's not upgrading them because Conte ain't signing the deal. The players, do they really believe that that there's a long-term project here because Conte's not signing and Levy's not bringing the players? So, I mean, there's a complete disconnect from everyone at this football club.
It's all business and the point where like football should be happening. You know, like in film and TV, you get like executives, and then like for TV series, for example, that you get a showrunner. Now, your favorite TV shows, Breaking Bad, all these shows, they would never happen if that showrunner doesn't, like, the executives want this thing. The creatives, the directors, they all want this thing, and it's different. The showrunner has to go between, and there's all these people that kind of, they balance that. At Spurs, there's the business and the board and what they need.
And football's just a side piece.
Yeah, like the property development, and there's no person in between. And it should be someone like, maybe not Fabio Paratici. He really should be developing mostly just the football side of it in the squad. But we don't have people who can link the Dr. Evil mentality of Levy with Conte's winning mentality with a football team.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work.
But Paratici is supposed to be that guy, though. He is supposed to be that guy. That's what he was brought in for. But I still think Daniel Levy is just sticking his oar in way too much. That's the thing. But anyway, Fabio Paratici is about to get banned anyway. So
Fabio Paratici's on the run, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
He's looking for escape routes to bloody Mexico right now.
Literally. But anyway, back on the game. Fulham were dominating us for the majority of that first half.
They played good football.
They did,
This season, they've played good football.
They did, and Hugo Lloris was making big saves in that first half, albeit he did spill a couple of them and made up for it. But right at the end of that first half, a goal comes out of nowhere from Harry Kane. Lovely shift from Heung-min Son to play it into Harry Kane. He shifts outside and wow, what a goal into the bottom right-hand corner. Curls round Leno, who was having a good game as well.
He used the defender as a screen.
He did.
The blind spot, used the defender as a screen. And for someone like him, for a striker, like that is, you take the ball on the turn, you use your shoulder to buy you a bit of space, and then that's all you need. But then you still got to hit that point. You know,
netting.
It's not
right in the side netting.
Easiest thing to do. You know, it's everything leading up. If he gets to space, all those little millimeters that he buys, that's the genius of him. But then to hit, that's the world class thing. The greatness of him is just to buy the space. To hit the corners are the world class thing. And you know, I really appreciated Son. I thought last night, like, he knows he's in a rut, but I thought at certain times he was trying to buy his form back. And that whole running, like, give me the ball here, like, I like that. He's like, give me the ball, and he looks up and he finds Harry. That little more of that has to happen, and then he'll break out of it. But I thought, like, some nice little improvements. But also what I thought in the first half, you know, we were, you know, until we got the goal, we weren't doing the 5-4-1. We were in good formations, and it was decent. Things weren't clicking. That's a problem with us sometimes, just don't click.
It was the 5-yard passes that were letting us down consistently, time and time again. That's all it was.
When you're trying to get those rondos before a game and in training, they're important because they're not supposed to just be good for you to nutmeg people in banter. They're important for you to get your close control tight. And that has been something that Spurs are really good at. Like, when we get going, we're really good at. Last night, when the ball's running out and the passes are going behind and then someone's in, that's the stuff that then makes it harder and harder. But when we start to, like in the second half, like when we've gotten that 5-4, then you start to see that there's more required of Son and Kulusevski than what we think. Because Son was dropping in and Kulu was coming the other side, and they held a very strong midfield line. So sometimes it's like that side of the game that we don't really appreciate of players. You know, like I don't think Son is that player. I think he's a forward. I think he's someone who is brilliant over the shoulder, off the shoulder of a player, in behind,
I agree.
diagonal runs. That's why I love the idea of seeing him in a 2 with Kane or whoever. But he's got this other job that he has to do, and I think at his age, I think his mind going, well, I'm the like top scorer last season. Why am I having to constantly fall back and defend and be a midfielder? You know, so I think some of that is going on as well. But I thought some promising little things from him last night. It wasn't his performance, because now we have to like let go of how amazing he is. He's in a rut and he's trying to fight his way back. I think a little bit more support for his struggle to get back to the best.
Do you think that you know, with what you're saying on, you know, you saw things that you liked there from Sonny last night, is it enough for you though to keep him in the team with Richarlison maybe hot on his heels a little bit?
Yeah, no, I think it's always good. Like, what I was really surprised with Conte, and I know it is because you read about the stuff that went on and how he built. He actually uses a tactic like this to build togetherness. He would drop players to build togetherness. Like, I mean, that's a classic thing when you're under 14 level, you know. Like, if anyone is not giving their all in training, you say, you won't play, you know. And when you come to a big club, I thought he was going to do that. Anyone, Son, Kane, anyone. If you play below, we drop you out, and then you put the arm around and say, look, I didn't drop you because you're bad, you're an amazing player.
We saw it against Leicester, right? Came out the team, comes on with at half-time, whatever it was, scores a hat-trick, and he was brilliant.
So I do think he needs that, and I think that's what Conte has to kind of keep, you know, like, but then Conte, that's a privilege as well, because how can I if I've got Richie out and we've got no players? So even there, he can't do that strong manager thing.
Yeah. And that's the kind of situation that this board have left us in time and time again. You know, we've got our first 11, and that's it.
Players know they're going to start.
There's no options. There's no options.
There's no impetus for them to be like, oh, I could get dropped here.
Yeah.
You know, you should always be feeling like you're fighting for something. Harry Kane is a different level because he's fighting to break records. He knows he's pulling a whole team up.
Yeah.
Whereas players like Son and the other players, like, they should always know that this could be taken from them, you know?
And he played like that last night, Harry Kane, didn't he? He was a man on a mission, consistently taking shots last night. I mean, probably should have broken the record last night because he had that chance in the second half. Where you're thinking, it was a great save, but it was kind of straight at him, and either side of Leno, that's probably a goal, isn't it?
I kind of felt like he got a little bit screened by someone jumped in front, and then it kind of came, and it was like, you know, he reacted instead of, like, he could have just turned his head a little bit and he probably got the corner, but that was a tough one. But yeah, his performance, I think we get so used to seeing it over and over. Like, when he gets the ball in at feet, and sometimes it's like dropping at a weird level. Do that 100 times, throw the ball up and try take it and turn.
He's so good at beating his man. You know, so good at beating his man.
It's world class stuff, and I think we get used to it. But
do you think we take it for granted a bit what Harry Kane produces for us on a football pitch, and maybe when it's all said and done and he's gone out of this team, we'll be like, wow, what a player that guy was.
Look at even go and watch like Osimhen, or go and watch like Vlahovic, and you know, go and watch Lewandowski. He doesn't do that. Lewandowski,
even Haaland, for God's sake. Look at Haaland.
Yeah, these players do not come deep, take a tough, weird ball that's fired into him by someone who's out of confidence, and then spin and put your player in. None of them do that.
You know who can do that, though, is someone like Karim Benzema. You know, he's brilliant at doing that. I mean, he's the one that's probably most similar to Harry Kane out of everyone.
Yeah, and there is a few players, but to consistently do it with Harry's build, with his age, like, to consistently do it, to be able to be, like, we could turn around and say, like, you know what, we're going to play with two up top and Harry's going to be a cam. That would work. Like, so he is the guy who can give you loads of options. It's just wait till he's not there, and you don't have anyone who can. Some of these balls that are into like the halfway line or into our half, and then he spins and puts someone in. Who's going to come and do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Not many players.
We're seeing greatness in front of our very eyes week in, week out with Harry Kane. It's just such a shame that we don't have maybe the squad to put around him, because, you know, we all know what's happening with Harry Kane. Contract running down, 2024 it runs out. Up in the air if he's going to sign one or not. And I feel like if he does sign one, we're just wasting his career at the moment with this hierarchy.
It's a hard thing for him, because I was talking to friends about it this morning. It's like, you imagine, so like the way the rest of the world looks at it is like, oh, Harry Kane must leave. Why is he there? What 266 goals, 0 trophies, right? And it's like, imagine someone came to you and said, like, here, you've got this great job, you get paid this amazing money, but for some silverware, I'm going to uproot you away from your family, change all of their lives and their dynamics, just so you can get a trophy. Like, take you away from your teammates, the club, the thing you love, just so you can get some nice Tupperware to put up somewhere. Like, it's insane. This is where we're at in football. Like, we don't respect a man who loves his club. And so I think it's incredible if he does, but also I would fully understand if he wants a new challenge. If he's like, I can't every season. That's the amazing thing, is that he still rises for the challenge. You know, so I totally understand if he does. But I think it's beautiful to see that he's still here all these years later and doing it. And, oh God, you know,
Can you imagine the Spurs without Harry Kane, though? You can't imagine it, can you?
It's Dark Ages stuff.
Yeah.
It's that painful you may as well bring Poch back at that point and start the painful rebuild, you know. But God, no, I couldn't imagine. And a kind of like
Start it 4 years later.
And a semi kind of boring game. Like if you're just like, it wasn't boring for us because watching us defend in the second half was actually quite amazing. They defended well.
Yeah.
And like Emerson Royal, like did an incredibly good job last night. And maybe that's an incredibly good job because compared to his past performances, but he never really lost the ball, which is rare for him. He made decent passes. He looked where he was passing the ball. Good. Good.
I saw a couple of no-look passes in there from him last night.
He did some really nice stuff, but also he fell, like we were saying to Ashmatic, Ashmatic called it the Zinchenko role, you know, where I was noticing he was coming inside a lot.
Yeah.
So Romero then goes further wide, and if you want to go up the line, Romero can do it. But he was coming inside in that half space, and then things were starting to happen there. He was finding space.
Yeah.
You know, it opened up new channel.
I thought he was brilliant last night.
Yeah, and
Emerson.
credit where it's due, because I rant on him a lot, but gotta give credit where it's due. He actually he was great defensively, and he stopped the ball coming back from he stopped them counter attacking on us.
The thing is with Emerson, right? Like he gets into this habit of when we're really looking for that right wing back to bring one in. I think he did it at the back end of last season as well, and he had that really good run towards the end of the season last year. And he kind of, is he that player, or is he the player that we see in first halves of the season and what we've seen so far this season? Because I've seen two sides of Emerson Royal, and I still, even last night, don't think his attacking side is way good enough.
Yeah.
But is there a case to say, keep Emerson at the club and get rid of Doherty and bring in an attacking one like Porro, so we've got the different options of Emerson and Porro? Or are we getting kind of blinded by one or two good performances?
Well, I do think that, Emerson, I think Emerson is good defensively. It's just, I can imagine that Conte would have said to him, look, here's what we're going to do. I don't think I'm using you right, and it's my fault. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to come on this side here, you know, and then you come up with a tactic, and the player goes, wow, the manager thinks of me, you know, and then that kind of stuff really works. So I think he has a little bit more quality in defense than Doherty. So get Porro or someone really fast, have them as the number one when you want to attack, but then have an option like Emerson. It's just like if you're and Emerson, and then maybe keep Spence in the prison, the purgatory that he's in, so maybe he could be brought out. But yeah, I don't see anything long term with Doherty. Like he's okay, works really well with Kulusevski. But defensively, he's a bit problematic.
And age as well, to be honest. But on the other side, Ivan Perisic, again, I thought was another poor performance from him last night.
He was so scared to go forward. He was getting the ball.
What is that about Perisic? Because what we know from Perisic, that's his number one forte, attacking those lines, getting the ball in the box. He just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and I think also there might have been the tactic of let's not go, balls to the wall. But it was this annoying thing from a wing back that they come really wide, they touch the touch lane. If you're doing that, it's because you're trying to make a run up there or in there. He comes there and then he just goes back there. It's like,
what are you doing?
Are you going back to like a world-class playmaker? You're going back to Davies. What are you doing? What's he going to do? You're a world-class guy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I just couldn't understand. It reeked of I don't have the confidence. And that's horrible to see. So, but then you just don't know what the strategies were. I got the feeling that we were, and it's horrible to think, but it's also give credit where it's due to other teams, that we were going to sit and try to get a lead at some point and then hold on for dear life. And it played out like that. I
kind of get the feeling with Perisic now that the wing-back role might not be for him anymore. I think defensively, I don't think he's anywhere near good enough anymore. I don't know if he's got the energy to keep getting up and down that pitch. I kind of feel that we should just keep him up the pitch now.
As a winger.
As a winger, and that's it. I think that should be his new role now. I think wing-back, I think he's past his sell-by date for a wing-back. I really do.
Yeah, I think he can bring stuff. Like those little times when he was, was he playing up on a 2 with Harry? It was we were really threadbare.
Yeah.
And I think he looks a little bit more comfortable that way, because you do like him on the pitch for his the way he delivers the ball. He's got a really good delivery, but it's always advanced. You know, put him in there then. Like, arguable this season with Son's form, he would have been better, in those advanced. The difference is he's now so used to being advanced that if there is a really good wing back, like a Doji comes in and then he's getting in the way because he's pulling so far wide. The great thing with Son is that he's kind of playing 3 different positions.
Yeah.
So Perisic can't play those. And can Perisic, in a game like last night, sit and just defend for dear life? No. So then
he can't do that. But that's the whole point, right? That's like we're calling for Son to come out of the team. We've got a guy there in Perisic who can play that role. In my opinion, can play it to a really high level without having to defend too much. But the problem is then we got Cessin on at left wing back then, and like our options are just so poor. We can't like shift around the team and change it, can we?
And it all starts from having a solid like world-beating back 3. If you have that, if you have crunchers that where attackers are a little bit like apprehensive because they know they're going to get going, they're going to get hit here, Like if you had that, then you can allow the privilege of a Perisic to float up and, and same with the right side. But we just look like a team who's a little bit worried. Like I can imagine Perisic like, I can't go that way because it's Davies or it's Longley, like I've got to fall back, So everywhere you look on the pitch, it's like players just are playing like they're handcuffed not because of Conte, but because of like what Conte's having to deal with,
It's like clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's like at Spurs at the moment. But let's talk about the midfield pairing, because Bentancur once again made a real difference in the game last night. I mean, we just look so much more assured when he's on the pitch. It wasn't even his greatest performance last night, but I thought...
compared to his performances, it wasn't.
Yeah, and I thought he was still one of our best players on the pitch last night. And he's always the one going to press from the front. And when we don't have him on that pitch, no one does that job. No one goes and presses. Yeah. He knits the ball really nicely in the middle of the park as well, albeit there were quite a few sloppy passes in there from him last night. But like that goal we scored against Man City, where he's the one that was pressing Rodri and we ultimately got that goal. He nearly did it again last night. He nearly did it again last night.
A lot of the time he's like the furthest presser. But also it's like, I love it from, if you love football, you can't not enjoy watching him play, because he's so spatially aware. He knows what's over his shoulder. He's got very good peripheral vision. Sometimes it's like he plays a pass which is too intelligent. You're kind of like, bro.
You're playing for Tottenham here. Can you see who's around you?
Who are you playing for? And that's also a reflection of his partner is not where he should be at times, or the person who's supposed to be overlapping isn't there either. So some of his passes, and even sometimes he was putting an overtly clever pass inside to Kane, and I just think Kane was kind of like, shit, I didn't, because if he's been out of the team for a while and you're not used to him doing really clever things, but so some of it was sloppy, but I also took it like, because he did a couple of sloppy things, and normally when you do one sloppy thing and everyone hits on you, like a bad manager will be like, stop, but no one did, and they kept trying really nice things, and he kept dropping the shoulder, and great players are going to make mistakes, but as long as they don't lose their confidence and they keep going, because he kept going, and then you just see, sure, there's 2 or 3 mistakes here, but there's like 16 really good things to talk about, So I appreciate him a lot, like how he turns, how he plays the ball, how he's smooth. The one ball into Kane's feet, it's coming out this guy, and he just casually just like catches it on the volley, slides it across the ground to Kane's feet, and it's like, who else in this team is going to do that?
The only person is him or Harry Kane. Those are the only 2 people, literally.
Yeah, he's a Selkie player. We're very lucky to have got him, and how this is like how it's...
Yeah, and like the one criticism I heard from Juventus fans on Bentancur was that he doesn't take enough initiative or authority on the pitch. He doesn't take enough responsibility. And I think since being managed under Antonio Conte, I think we did see that from Bentancur last season. But I think now, this season, he is taking that authority on the pitch, and he's the one really trying to, he's our key man, really.
I think he knows he's like the best player in the club right now. Other than Harry Kane, I think he knows that if something's going to happen, it's because I'm going to do it, And that's that's for the ego of a player that has to have that. He has to know, because that's how you can pick a team up and go and do something. That's what Bale had all these years ago, you know. So I hope we keep seeing it, but I hope also that he can lift Højbjerg out of this funk of not being able to complete simple passes, you know, and the ball
What's that
hitting off
about,
his
though?
feet and then jumping away. That's just, he's in his head.
What's it about? Because like Højbjerg off the ball is still the same Højbjerg. Like off the ball, he's brilliant, chasing down everything, tackles, interceptions. You know what you're going to get from Højbjerg.
Yeah.
But on the ball, he just can't make a 5-yard pass at the moment. I mean, do you keep Højbjerg in the team for that off the ball work that he does, because it is invaluable to us, or do you maybe look at a Bissouma or Sarr to start taking his place?
Yeah, I genuinely think, I mean, it's difficult because you don't want Højbjerg's confidence levels to drop. You don't want to be sitting there with a Højbjerg on the bench. You want to be having him at his best. So sometimes you just got to play through. You got to get a little bit of a good run of results. But someone like Sarr, I feel just right now, he could be doing these jobs better. You know, he's not clumsy on the ball. He's got probably one of the best kind of like dive tackles. Like he's so long, so I think Sarr would be amazing. But it's just that thing of like, if you've got a Højbjerg on your side, you need him to get back to confident. You know.
So look, I think good 3 points last night. I think the second half performance deserved those 3 points, and Harry Kane equaling Jimmy Greaves' record last night, which is unbelievable. You know, a lot of fans thinking no one was ever going to break Jimmy Greaves' record, but now Harry Kane is 1 goal away from beating the record. Now, in terms of the league position, only 3 points now behind Newcastle, 3 points behind Manchester United. Do you think we can make the top 4 this year?
Yeah, I was looking at it last night. Like, the run that Manchester United have in February looks daunting. Like,
Oh, really?
wow. Like, they've got to play 15 games in 32 days.
Oh, because they're still in all the cups as well. Yeah.
And they've got tough games as well. And speaking to really close friends of mine who are Man United fans, it's like, it's looking good right now because of if one of their key players get injured, things will fall apart. Like Casemiro being out against, was he out against
Arsenal? Yeah.
Like, you can see there is problems still there, you know. Rashford's prone to dips of form. Right now he's in incredible form, but he's, you know, this can happen. So I look at them as being 3 points behind them, and I think that's they're easily catchable. And if we get in a run, that our thing is we need to get in a run, you know. And I think also Newcastle haven't been here for a long time. At some point they might drop the ball as well. So I think to be at this part of the season, halfway through, to be 3 points from third, that's and
with all the
Champions League still.
negativity surrounding and all the positivity that's been thrown Newcastle's way, that's been thrown Man United way, we're only 3 points adrift.
Yeah.
It's actually mental to me to think that.
Yeah.
We've been terrible this season and we're only 3 points adrift. And, you know, we've played Man City, after the weekend, we would have played Man City twice. We've played Arsenal twice. So, I mean, we're actually not in a bad spot, are we?
No. Yeah, and I think because we had that situation last season where we got on a really good run and everyone was able to keep fit, hopefully if praying that we get like maybe 1 or 2 signings in, but if we can keep everyone fit, these players' names on paper, like you would think, if you look at Newcastle at least, you know, you would think, and they've got some accident-prone, injury-prone players as well.
Yeah,
so,
but not only that, but they draw way too many games. They're very much catchable, in my opinion, Newcastle.
Yeah, because but that's their MO as well. It's like when tough games come, get the draw, because that's where they're at in their progression.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing where they're at. The jump from where they were last season to where they're at now, but this is the big boy game here, you know, and not sure if they're quite up to that fight just yet. We have the confidence of what we did last. We know we can go on a 10-game run. We know we can tighten things up and then be that team that doesn't lose a goal for 10 games. We know we've got the other way, but hopefully I'm hoping that we've got this out of the way. This losing 2 goals a game for 10 in a row. Like,
do you think that we've kind of coming out of it the other end a little bit? Because last 3 away games now, we beat Palace 4-0. We went 2-0 up against Man City and lost 4-2 against a very good side, but a good performance. The Arsenal performance, I don't think was as bad as everyone keeps saying. I know we got outclassed by the better team. There's no 2 ways about it.
But still, your goalkeeper drops the ball in the net.
Yeah, and if that doesn't happen, maybe you're looking at the second half performance. You know, if we put one of those chances away early, we could have got back into that game. Yeah. And then we go 1-0 away to Fulham, who are on really good form. So are we starting to see the cogs turn a little bit for Tottenham now?
I think so. I mean, and it's weird, like when you're a fan and you're so when you're so like worried about how your club's run, and you're so worried about not getting signings, and you're so worried about how thin your squad is, all these things can like compound. But we don't know what's actually happening on the practice pitch. Like we don't know that there and what we could be seeing just recently is that things are starting to come together a little bit more. So things are. You got Bentancur back. He's a huge, and he's not his back at his full fitness, and yet you can see how he's changing games.
Kane and Kane are our most important players. Oh, those three players.
Kulusevski's not back fully fit yet, but he's not. You can see he doesn't want to pull the trigger and just go for it. But you can already see, what he does just for the options he gives us. So I do think, like, especially, I mean, if you can do something decent in the last week or so of the transfer window, then God knows, I think we could go on a run. I think we have it. I definitely think we have it in. It would be very weird if Spurs went a whole part of the season and didn't really go on a run. And I wouldn't call the start of the season a run, because I don't think we played great football. I'm talking about going on that run where it's like, oh man, we're not going to get beat here. Yeah. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. So 1 week to go of the transfer window. So tick-tock, Daniel Levy, get some players through the door finally. But I do think, there's more positive news coming out about Pedro Porro today. So hopefully that's going to get done. Before we get into the callers, let's just get through a few super chats. The first one from KPV. He says, big up lads, come on you Spurs. I'll happily take a 1-0 win. Kane loves scoring in London derbies. He loves London derbies. Brian Daigle with the members chat. 28 months as a member, Daigle. Big up. He said the away fans were absolutely phenomenal. The heavenly music we want, Levy out, was heard crystal clear. Great job, everyone. Michael Hellman says the Sky TV commentators were getting a great earful of Levy out chants. Big up, everyone. And Matt Card, member for 17 months, says finally a win. Great to see Brains on the show. So there you have it.
Cheers.
Let's go on to the guests now. Who have we got coming on first? We've got, look who it is. Look what the cat dragged in. It's Brian Daigle. Yes, Brian.
Is he
Are
muted?
you on mute?
Yes, I was about to say, sorry, not one of your best introductions for me, Ben, but I'll take it. How are you
Brian,
boys doing?
Is this your first time on, Brian? I see you, first time caller. Excited to be here?
First time on in 12 hours. I'm going through withdrawal symptoms.
Brian, talk to me about the game last night. I guess we'll start with the fans. How much of a great job do you think the fans did last night?
Oh, mate, that heavenly music that I got to hear over and over again, mate. Listen,
You went to sleep with a smile on your face last night, Brian.
oh, mate. Even at the studio, I was singing along with you. Do you know what? People knocked the protest on Saturday and how few people were there. But obviously, like I said all along, the main aim was to get media exposure. We did. Was there more people? We did. Did it get a lot of attention on social media, let alone media? It did. And don't get me wrong, we were at Palace together and it was huge. Man City, the away end was just deflated on so many levels. And again, yesterday, it ramped up. And again, when we were winning, and again at the end, it was wonderful. Like you and me spoke, Ben, it was the perfect blend of supporting the team and getting the message out, which is how it should be. And those away fans last night, each and every one of them, were absolutely outstanding. Phenomenal. Yeah. Great job. And that's what it should be.
Brian, let me ask you this quickly, because obviously Palace, we had great support and it was unbelievable throughout the game. Levy out chants were there. Man City, it was just very underwhelming, the support from the team. Although I was speaking to Graham last night and he said up in the third tier it was really loud at Man City, but we were down at the bottom, so maybe it was just our personal kind of experiences. But then we come back to this Fulham game again, really great support. Do you have a feeling like that Man City game maybe just had a feeling of the fan base just didn't want Arsenal to win the league? Was that a case maybe?
Do you know what, Ben? You and me spoke even when we got into the concourse just before the kickoff.
It was empty.
It was empty. It wasn't. There was just a something in the air. I think it was the hangover from Arsenal. I think it was obviously when we went 2-0 up, we didn't know what. Obviously, we were celebrating, but it was like, oh my God, Arsenal. And then the second half, I thought when we capitulated in the second half, that would have been the catalyst for it going large. And I just think everyone had just had the wind knocked out their tails. You got to remember as well, that was the day Trossard had signed, or here we go. Madueke had signed, here we go. So I just think there was just here we are again. And like you said, when we said about, we thought we'd be able to hear it from the third tier, but obviously we weren't, because if Graham was saying it was very loud, Ryan said it was very loud as well. Maybe it was just we were in the wrong stand to hear it a full event. I'm seeing a lot of things in the chat now saying Porro bid rejected.
Oh, really?
Well, I'm seeing it in the chat. I don't know where they've heard it or if anything comes out, but it doesn't surprise me.
We got any top tiers in the chat?
Where's Danny Kirimano? Where's Danny Kirimano?
Danny Kirimano is actually on the flight home from Amsterdam.
Oh,
So
right.
So
Amsterdam.
if that has been, and I said it yesterday when they said the new word is it's softening, and I spoke to you this morning, Ben. Even if this deal does come through, why are we waiting to soften on a release clause? We are Tottenham goddamn Hotspur. The money is there. What happened to that 50 million that we are yet to withdraw? And that could have sorted it. Done. And even it's Tottenham Tears that's saying it on Twitter.
Tottenham
apparently,
Tears.
I mean, Tottenham Tears. Yeah, check Tottenham Tears, Ben. I don't know what the exact comments are or it's been saying, but obviously it hasn't softened enough. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing.
Levy probably asked for like the guy's like wife to be thrown in the deal, and
you never know.
It says here, Tottenham and Sporting remain without an agreement for Pedro Porro. A new attack by the English club was rejected by the Portuguese club. Another meeting will be held tomorrow.
Okay, pay the fucking money. That's all you got. That's all you got to do.
They're creeping closer, Brian. They're creeping closer. By the last day of the window, we'll get this deal done.
These are really strict.
This has got asking for that 2-hour extension at the end of the window written all over it, hasn't it? This has got. We're still creeping. Jesus, goddamn Christ! Listen, when the fee is 45 million euros, whatever it is, it's 45 million euros. It's amazing that when we want to sell a player, we have to get their value. It's no questions, no softening, no creeping, no formulas, no this, no that. You pay the money. But when it comes to us doing it, oh, no. It doesn't matter what you say. We are Tottenham Hotspur. I am Daniel goddamn Levy. Let's haggle, negotiate, and not support the team during the time where he could have played against Manchester City and Arsenal. But hey-ho, it could be softening. It's softening, guys. It's like a piece of gum. It's just got to get to that right chewing softness, and then it's all good. What a fucking embarrassment!
You know what's
an embarrassment.
What's really funny is like these meetings that only like what are they? They walk in. He goes, "I am Levy, 5 million off," and then they're just like, "No, okay, see you tomorrow." You know, like, oh,
I don't understand with these.
Have a little bit longer of a meeting.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand with these negotiations. Like everyone's like you can only put one offer in a negotiation. Like, what's going on here?
We'll come back tomorrow.
Why can't you just get the negotiation done?
I can imagine Porro. I can imagine them just sitting there going, "Look, you can come back tomorrow. You can take a flight back. You know, you can fly over in your helicopter. But look." 45 million. I mean, we haven't changed our. It's not going to randomly change. It's like, no, I'll pay for the gas to fly the helicopter back tomorrow to try one more time to get 3 million off the deal.
Brains, you got to think as well. How does this make Porro feel? We said like you're our number one target. We want you. We're coming. Like Trossard, when his agent said, "Yes, Spurs. Well, we're waiting. We're trying. With this. With that." How embarrassing that this is the number one target, but we're creeping. We're verbally agreeing. I'm loving them. We're verbally agreeing to talk. That is the biggest. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? But hey ho, that fucking Porro, that Levy in the board. Let's talk. Obviously, the fans were incredible. Congratulations to the man, the legend.
Hugo Lloris for not making a mistake. Yay!
Yeah, Hugo. I mean. Harry Kane, what a finish. Oh, very quiet during the game. He had that one run that he created himself on that shot. Could have broken the record, but for a superb save by Leno. Superb save.
Yeah.
but we've now witnessed history. And yeah, that I mean, like I said, I don't think you can take away, like I said, the main talking point from that game is, of course, on that side, Harry Kane, the main objective, Levy out, and obviously Emerson, who I hope got drug tested, because that was do you know what, Brains? I picked up on it on the watch along, like yourself, how you did. He seemed much more central, didn't he? He was like, we're not going to waste time. As I keep saying, that famous Alistair Gold quote that I said to Ben, that when Emerson gets the cross in, the best you can hope for is a corner. I love that quote. I absolutely love that quote. But he looked a lot more positive, central. I mean, all right, it's only one game, but you have to give credit where credit was due, and that, without a doubt, was the best performance I've seen from Romero, the most complete performance. Romero,
Are you open
Emerson.
to keeping him? Are you open to keeping Emerson?
If he did that, if he could do that consistently for like 8, 9, 10, 11 games in a row, then that might be a discussion. But based on one game of football against Fulham, no.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, because we haven't crept enough to or suffered enough for Porro, so it's not even a debate right now, is it?
Brian, talk to me about a player that you love very much in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Currently off form quite dramatically, in my opinion. Still off the ball, doing his job and doing really well. But why can't he make these 5-yard passes at the moment?
Do you know what? As I said, I always come on this channel or other channels and say, if I'm big enough to give credit, I've got to be man enough to give criticism. And we mentioned it on the way over for the Man City game. He's off the ball. Listen, it's been a few games now where he's been off the pace. There's no doubting whatsoever what he can bring to the pitch when he's on his A game, and the steel and tenacity and aggression and whatever. But it's not there. It's not there right now. And when you look at him, the amount of game, we talk about people like Son being dropped, who again was completely anonymous apart from that assist. In my opinion, should have been sent off. But back to Højbjerg. This guy plays non-stop, absolutely non-stop, and gets one game a season where it's like, right, you're coming out. This is where we are right now, where players have to be rested, rotated, dropped, whatever word you want to use. And it may have been time for Basuma. It may have been a time to say, right, Basuma, in you go, have an opportunity, because he has been off the boil. But it seems under Conte, he has his players that he trusts and he demands plays when they're fit. He's one of them. Son is clearly one of them. Kane, obviously, and Romero, and Kulu and Bentancur, and Højbjerg and Son, at the moment, are totally off the boil, and there's no getting away from it.
Yeah.
I do kind of feel like they're two different situations, though, Højbjerg and Son. At least Højbjerg, we do have good enough options to come in and replace with Pape Matar, with Yves Bissouma.
Yeah.
But with Son, you don't really have the options there. Brian Hill was injured last night. Richarlison's not 100% fit and hasn't been for a while. So I think there are actually opportunities to take Højbjerg out of the team. I'm not sure if there are with Sonny at the moment.
Yeah, well, I want to see Richarlison. I mean, I don't know how much longer. We say he's not fully fit. Is it? He's not fully fit. He hasn't got match fitness. There's two different fitnesses you're talking about here. And if it's a lack of match fitness, the only way he's going to get it is by bloody playing. And right now, would Seb, or however fit Richarlison is, be any worse than not on form on Son? There's no doubt when Son's on form, there's no comparison whatsoever between Son and Richarlison. Son absolutely wipes the floor with Richarlison. But right now, do you say, right, let's continue with this, because we need to stop saying, oh, this is going to be the game where he comes, or we were even saying it after Palace, hopefully he'll kick on from here. Well, he hasn't.
Yeah.
But he's still playing, and it comes to the point where you got to say, okay, we've got to give someone else a go and see what they can do. Not say Richarlison comes in and smashes it and does any better, but at least there's an option. Yeah. At least we're trying to change, and we're not waiting to see if nothing does change. But like you said, I agree with you that we are better. We're better stacked up with options in central midfield. I've got to change that ringtone. I've got to change that ringtone very quickly. So yeah, we're better stacked in midfield. But I do want to see some difference, and hopefully we'll see it against Preston. Hopefully we'll see some variation against Preston, because After that, we got Man City, Leicester, Champions League back, West Ham, Chelsea, and we got to start thinking about these games and thinking about games ahead, which would also help if we had some bloody players.
It would help, wouldn't it,
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah,
Same.
we'll soon see. We'll soon see. But yeah, I'd like to see some changes against Preston. But yeah, I think Højbjerg and Son, we've got to look at giving them a rest, dropped, rotated, whatever word you want to use. Because for crying out loud, Mum, I'll call you back in 2 seconds.
Mom, I'm busy.
Yeah, listen. I have my priorities, as you know, in line, mate. We are Tottenham TV, or my mum calling me, and look what's won. I'll probably get in trouble after for this, but yeah. So priorities in gear, and yeah, let's just hope for some changes against Preston, because we have to look at these games coming up because they're big.
It's amazing to think that now every single goal that Harry Kane scores from now on is another record.
Yeah.
Correct. And hopefully he'll be doing that for England as well soon. But just fair play to this man who has given blood, sweat and tears for Tottenham, hit objectives, hit targets, golden boots, creativity, evolved his game, single-handedly got teams to finals or into the Champions League. Yes, there's the talk about the finals and him not turning up. But if it weren't for Harry Kane, we wouldn't be in these finals in the first place. He is just an awesome, awesome footballer. Tottenham is in his blood, is in his heart. And we need to show him the ambition that he craves and needs, because that man, for him to leave as Tottenham's record goal scorer, and unlike Greaves, have trophies in the cabinet, out of all the players that have left during this time without them, this one will be a crime. This one will be unacceptable. This man deserves silverware, and let's just hope it's Tottenham Hotspur where he can get it.
What do you think keeps him at the club? What do you think is the thing that does it?
I think it's love for the club. You got to say his love for the club is a huge factor in it. Obviously, he's been told many a time, and I think last time we were in Manchester City, he'd finally had enough, but finally we managed to win him round. I don't think if Conte walks and if it's another manager out the door and all this, I don't think there's a hope in hell that he signs a new contract. If Conte's still there, or a big manager comes in, or QSI do get, or an investor does come in and there's like, right, here is the money, it is going on players, and this time it's happening, then he may stay. But listen, every time he's asked, he's obviously given a target, a quota or whatever to hit every single year. And let's just say, even last year where he was off the boil for the beginning part, he ended it incredibly strong.
Yeah. And
he meets our expectations and quota every single year. The board, the manager, he's always got what the job is required, and it's about time Tottenham Hotspur match his ambition.
Absolutely spot on. Daigle, always a pleasure, my friend, and we'll speak to you next time.
And as always,
you will do. And as always,
fingers ready.
Levy out.
Come on, Daigle. Big up once again. Another great call from Brian Daigle. Next up,
call your mum back.
Exactly. Call your mum back, Daigle. Oh, but up next, we've got the Joricle. Let's see what he has to say today. Jory, how you doing?
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
I'm good. You can hear me, right?
All good. All
I
good.
swear to God, Jory, if your mom calls.
She might, actually. She might. I'll let you take that call.
Jory, let's talk about the fans first and foremost last night. What did you? I don't know if it came across on TV where you were.
Oh, it came across, man. It was amazing.
It
was like the whole game. I only heard Tottenham fans singing the whole game, so I was really blown away. I was so happy with that, actually, and big up to every single one of you that went there, because both you both provided total and complete support for the squad, which they need right now, and you provided support for Antonio with at least two chants of Antonio, and then we got the Levy get out of our club chance as well. So I mean, brought a tear to my eye almost. I was really, really happy with it.
I actually got a message from a friend.
So
Sorry,
what,
Jory.
guys?
I got a message from a friend that was saying, I don't know if he knew this, but I think he was saying like, is that like a record breaking Yid Army? It was like the longest one, and I remember thinking when it was going on, I was like, "Wow, this is a long Yid Army."
Yeah, it was like someone just said on the comments. It was like it was just on loop, you know.
Yeah.
The fans were just up for it last night. It just felt like they were up for it. Same as against Crystal Palace, but this was more. And I think the more disgruntlement the fans get, the louder the fans are going to get.
That's actually the beautiful thing about this horrible situation is that it's bringing together. You know, I would say, you know, I've often called them casual fans and whatever, but actually, I mean, of course, there's also hardcore fans in the Levy-in camp and all of that. But I think now the narrative has shifted so much, and so many people have awakened to how it's actually with Levy, how cynical the situation is with ENIC and so on, that I think it's making for a little bit of a kind of you know, reaching across the aisle, you know, people coming together in the community, which is a really beautiful thing to see. So, you know, and also to add to that, you know, I felt like the whole comment from Kane's camp yesterday of Kane being open to contract talks if they go about their business in the right way, that he couldn't have put Levy in a more difficult situation. Now, if Kane leaves in the summer, he's done. We're gonna go insane. Kane is basically say, you have an option of keeping me, just don't fuck it up. And now it's all on Levy. You know, if Kane goes, it's because Levy fucked it up. We know what Kane. Oh, I think I'm pretty clear. What this is, Kane putting his weight behind Conte now. And I also felt like a little bit. I mean, I know Kane had a fever. He was playing with a fever. I mean, how amazing is this guy? You know,
I didn't know that.
Playing like that with a fever, you know, and just not refusing not to not show up, you know, and just being there for us. It's just Kane through and through. But I feel like Kane is getting a little bit pissed and maybe is finally starting to, you know, take ownership of this club. You know, I've often criticized Kane and said this is not Kane FC, but actually at this moment and just in general, maybe it should be a little bit more Kane FC, because the alternative is ENIC FC, and that's not what we want to see, you know. So I felt there was good things happening in the Man City game, and I felt a continuation of that in terms of fans, in terms of will to fight, in terms of tactics. There's some really good tactical tweaks going on with Conte now. I mean, the most obvious one was with Emerson going more on the inside now, which makes so much sense if you think of it. And it's bringing out what I've always talked about with Emerson, which is him being a good ball player. He's not a good crosser. We don't need to discuss that. You know, was mentioned here before. The best you hope for is a corner or throw in almost. You know, but he is a good ball player. So if he cuts in now, he's pretty good on the ball. So if he cuts in now you have the option of passing it out to Kulu, who can cross as good as Perisic, you know. Or you have an overload on that corner with three guys going on two guys and so on, you know. So it's a really, really nice tactical tweak. Also, I think I'm seeing the team now expanding their triangles, playing longer, bigger triangles, which is helping out because we lack the pace. So we need to be able to pass it in longer and bigger triangles. And I feel like that's working as well. Ben, you mentioned what's going on with Højbjerg, and I do agree his passing is definitely on. But yesterday his positioning was really, really, really good. And it was really important because he was really being the general yesterday. He was constantly tweaking everybody else's position and so on. So
thing is, Jory,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Højbjerg off the ball. I think off the ball he's still brilliant. He
Yeah.
really is still brilliant. But it's when he gets on the ball, there's too many moves that break down. I mean, there's so many opportunities where Højbjerg picks it up in the middle of the park, and he's got runners either side to him. He's got Bentancur to the side of him. He's got Sonny making that darting run in front of him. But the move just breaks down every single time because he can't make a 5-yard pass.
Situations, and then he kind of almost like plays for a foul, and it's like, no, go.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. But I do agree though what Jerry's saying, and it's not even just off the ball work. It's like his presence is really good. You know, like he is really the only, because Dyer doesn't do it. Like I know he speaks multiple languages, but you know, he could speak gibberish for all I care. Dyer does not like galvanize players around him. You know, he might be able to, you know, translate what Romero's saying to Davies. He's calling you an asshole. You know,
That's why we react so slow, is because he's doing he's translating. He's like, he said, get into that position.
he's deep in conversation, yeah.
but Højbjerg knows the only words that really work, and that is like, you are shit. Move, you know, like get this done. Like he's the captain, really. Like, and so what we miss from him when he's in a bad form with the ball, which is repairable if they just, you know, with confidence. But like, it's good to see what Jory's picking up there. It's good to see, and I admittedly didn't really see that enough. Like, I wasn't really watching that, but it's good to see that he has that. Like, he still has a presence, and that's and sometimes that's what you really lose. Like, Kane's too far up, and Lloris is not that presence. So that's sometimes when we were saying like the reason he is in the team is still that. Sarr isn't that. He's young, he's quiet. Bissouma's still, you know, making the transition. So it's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the way it looked on TV for me, Højbjerg was completely controlling the shape of our defense the whole time, really. And that made a big difference. You know, he was constantly calling and of course himself positioning himself in a manner so that we were compact and the shape kept up. You know, actually yesterday,
if you had a great, imagine if you had a great centre back, like a centre back who was like that captain type player. Think about how Højbjerg would be uncuffed. Think about then how his game could progress.
If you now add on to that a goalkeeper that also takes this role on of calling out and directing the defense, you know, that's just what we need. And like, you know, I don't want to go in on any player because I'm happy that, I mean, like I said yesterday as well, it's like these players, they are who they are. I am who I am, and you lovely guys are who you are. We can't change that.
Well, that could be debatable with me sometimes. I don't know, you know, but
like you definitely need some tweaking still, brain. But
Jerry's
we'll get there in the end, you know. But at least they're turning up now, and I was worried, like just a couple of games of like Aston Villa and so on. I was worried that they were doing the whole throwing Conte under the bus like they did with Mourinho, you know, like that was starting now. But I'm so happy to see that they're off that, or that's not happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's to Kane putting his foot down or letting his presence and his opinion being known in that manner. Or maybe just they had a talk with Conte and they connect again, you know, at least. And like Conte said yesterday, I'm taking it as a beginning, and I'm also taking faith in, like, if we can keep piling the pressure on Levy now, and hopefully he will have enough love for his own ass that he will decide to save his own ass and get a couple of players in. Well, then we're not that far from something really good, you know, and not that far from keeping Conte as well, I think, you know. So we should really, really be fighting for that now. I think it's very important that we stay focused on that this last week, you know. So, yeah.
In terms of the outlook of the season, Jory, now only 3 points outside the top four, 3 points behind Newcastle and Manchester United, albeit I think they got games in hand.
One game in hand.
One game in hand each, I think, on us. You know, things aren't looking too bad at the moment. Still in the Champions League, still in the FA Cup. I mean, are fans maybe overreacting with, because all I was hearing last week is that season's over, but the season is far from over, isn't it?
No, no, no. I mean, that's complete nonsense. What the fans rightly reacted to is the collapse of our defensive structure. I mean, our defense is relegation. You know, our offense is still top six, I would say, and then our midfield is probably right in between there. So that's how you get the stats and the results that we're been getting. You know, and I heard like both Conte and Kane talk about that we needed to basically get back to a more collective defensive performance, which I agree with, you know. But I mean, the systematic problem is the level of the defending. That's the main systematic problem. We have others. We have now a goalkeeper and a right wing back situation we need to address as well, you know. But with some good buying now January and a little bit of buying next summer or this coming summer, then we're in a good shape. I mean, we can have that situation resolved at least to a level that's coachable for Conte. I don't think it's coachable. Like the back line is not coachable beyond what he's already done, you know. And they will.
Yeah.
I see, because I know this really well as an Icelander. Every kind of success story we were involved in is based on the fact that they go on this Viking berserker, you know, let's get, and they go in and go in, but you can't maintain that stuff, you know. So they collapse, you know, before they get the full, you know, all the way there, you know, but we're still proud of them and all of that, and we love them because they give their all, you know. They don't leave anything, you know, in the dressing room. It's all on the field when they play, you know. And this is, so I know this, and that's what I feel like Conte has gotten. I felt like Mourinho got it out of them as well at one point, you know. So I can salute them for them, you know. Well done, you know. But we still need to face the situation of the quality of the back line and now the quality of the goalkeeping. I was really, really nervous. I was happy that Lloris had a clean sheet game and he did pretty good saves there and did many mistakes as well, but they didn't cost us this time, you know. So I was happy that we got away with that.
Jory, speaking about the defense, like I looked at that, like you were just saying there, that clean sheet for me last night was huge. We've been losing 2 goals a game for 10 odd games now. Like it's insidious defending. But Fulham have gone to Man City and City just beat them 3-2 to United. Like United just beat them 3-2. And then they've beaten most of the other teams in the league. Like, so
exactly
for us
and
to
Fulham
like put
had
on
many. Sorry to add to that, Brains. Fulham had many set pieces yesterday, you know, which they're kind of expert at, you know, and it still kept it clean, you know. So really, really good job there, you know. And Fulham is definitely not a easy team to play again. I was very worried about Mitrovic, you know.
We
really
shut him
didn't
down completely.
Yeah.
I didn't see who was going to shut him down, but we did, you know. So that was amazing. But I also, like, for me, it's also, I've heard a little bit, but Ben, I refer to you, you know, like, didn't you experience that the squad was reacting to you guys and just showing up and putting a real fight in?
Yeah, and this is why I try push the atmosphere thing the whole time. I mean, I'm always trying to sing, and I get very frustrated when fans aren't singing in the stands. And I think the away ends, Spurs' away ends recently, Man City aside, I mean, Crystal Palace and Fulham were absolutely brilliant. And it's no coincidence, in my opinion, that the fans were so brilliant in both of those games. We've kept clean sheets in both of those games, and we've got 3 points in both of those games. Yeah. Spurs fans need to come together as a collective each and every single game, not just at away games, but at home games as well. And I don't think it's a coincidence as well. It's like the home games are dead. You can hear a pin drop in that stadium. And we're playing poorly every home game. We're getting defeated every home game, more or less, at the moment.
And then on the away games, like away this season, Spurs are second in the league on away results. Yeah. So it's, you can tell, like, when you're at the games, like I kind of feel like, like the Arsenal game, Lloris makes that mistake, and then it felt like the game was over because looking around, there was two of our own fans in front of me fist fighting. And then and because one's trying to galvanize everyone, he's like trying to get everyone to keep singing, and the other one's like sing up, and they start arguing, and it's like this is ridiculous. Away fans are more together, and it shows like the team is galvanized by the away fans' passion. But in a state, that's the problem with having like a theater of 60,000 people, and everyone is torn. You've got some fans calling in TalkSport saying that Conte should be removed and put Dyche in. That you've got our fan base is like so split for what's actually going on, and like a lot of the time it's just panic. When the reality is, like, we play a part in this. Like, fans play a part, and so our stadium should be a fortress. We have to sing together. We have to be together. And
so you've gotta make your mojo rub off on the people around you. You turn into an absolute madman as soon as you step in there. I've seen that a couple of times myself. So
he starts rubbing himself on people. That's the problem.
You're not wrong, Jory. You're
actually,
not wrong.
One thing I would suggest, actually, because you are influential, Ben, is like you should just start treating the home games as an away game. Just consider.
I try, Jory. I try.
Yeah. Because these
it's hard to rub himself on 60,000 people, though.
Yeah, I know. I can do it on a few thousand, but 60,000, they're not having it.
You might get arrested for that, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm worried, because we're talking about the fans. I'm worried about the Milan game, to be honest. If that's going to be this high price paying casual non-hardcore fan, like the Champions League game hasn't been very impressive in terms of fan support, and now we're into a state where we really need to pull out everything we have, so
I've gone to every Champions League game so far, or tried to go to all of them, and it's annoying when an away, when the Lisbon fans were just outsung our whole stadium. It's kind of like, and obviously they're an incredible group, but we've got to be louder on those. But it's Champions League, so you'd hope we're in the later stages of the Champions League. You'd hope like everyone comes together for that.
I think they will. I think they will. But bad news about the Milan game is I'm not going to be going, so I won't be able to galvanise the fans in that one.
I'll rub myself on as many people as I can.
Do my job, Brains, for me, please. just rub up against anyone you can. But there's actually been some news breaking. I'm not sure how reliable it is. It's from a chap called Paolo Ziliani talking about the whole situation with Juventus at the moment. And he says Tottenham's Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur are among the players at risk of being banned for up to a month if they are found to have accepted falsely lower wages at Juventus.
Ooh. And
only Tottenham, guy. Only Tottenham.
Shut up.
Apparently, Dybala is in that as well.
When your name is Daniel Levy and you fall for every too good to be true deal in the store, this is what you end up with. So
I think it's wrong to ban players and stuff, and this isn't to the players, why would you take it out on the players,
Well, I mean, they have to accept that kind of contract or that kind of pay and so on, but they probably have very little understanding of what really it implicates, but still, I mean, they are grown-ups. They need, in a legal sense, they need to, of course, be responsible for what they take part in. And
if that happens, then I genuinely there's no God, and if there is a God, he hates Spurs. If there's a God, he's an Arsenal fan. If that happens,
100%.
That's the slow realization that we're coming to, people. There's God is a gooner, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Our story this season would be so sad. We'd have to set up like a Care for Me fund or something, save our season fund online. See if we can like raise some money to get them get a new lawyer.
Jory, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll speak to you next time.
Take care, Jory.
Great seeing you guys. Great show. Take care, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Come on, you
Bye-bye.
Spurs.
Come on.
What lad.
I was actually just seeing a clip of Simon Jordan talking on TalkSport this morning, and he goes, anyone in that away end or anyone that's calling Levy out are idiots.
Well, coming from an ass jockey like him, I mean, I don't know what ass jockey means. I just couldn't think of
That bloody arse jockey, him, that Simon Jordan.
He called us idiots. Oh! Forget him.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to our next guest, and that is Mikey.
Yes,
Hey
mate.
guys,
How you doing, Mikey?
firstly I just want to say talk sport, so that's all you need to know really.
Or talk shite?
Well,
Mikey,
TalkSport is
Mikey,
horrible.
what's the update with you? Like, still seeing the girls? Still in uni?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Yeah.
Everything's all good.
Everything's all good, everything's the same. It's pretty much, this is what I'm about right now. But yeah, she's doing well, and so is my uni grades. They're actually on the up, which is good for me.
Nice.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. Not only is your uni grades on the up, but Spurs are getting 3 points again. So talk to me your thoughts on the game last night.
Love that segue.
Firstly, I will try my best to galvanise the crowd because I will be in the home end at the AC Milan game day after my birthday. It was an early birthday.
Rub
present
off on
for my
as many
family.
people as you can, Mikey.
Rubbing all over the place.
I hope my I hope my birthday spirit will galvanise the crowd, shall we say? Because
will,
my birthday's
it
the
will.
7th, the game's on the 8th, so that's pretty.
I trust you,
convenient timing. But
Mikey.
yeah,
I trust you.
yes, but I'll take on the mantle. I mean, Spurs. I watched the performance yesterday. I think a lot of people are just happy that it's a win. It wasn't an outstanding performance. It wasn't a great. Large parts of the game were pretty dull. But a win is a win, and I think a lot of Spurs fans are just relieved. 3 points, a clean sheet, and Kane within touching. He's touching distance of the record now. He's joined with Jimmy Greaves, a record that is.
I mean, he's touching it. He's currently touching it. Whether or not he's got his balls all over it, I don't know.
He's got
that's one
everything.
more
He's
game.
got everything all over it. But Mikey, what's it mean for you to watch a player like Harry Kane week in, week out? 266 goals now for Tottenham, breaking records now with every goal he scores from now on. I mean, what's it mean to you to watch a player like Harry Kane play week in, week out?
I mean, it goes back to what my dad said. He came to this country in 1974. He started supporting Spurs in 77, and he said, up until I saw Harry Kane play, I never saw anyone better than Jurgen Klinsmann and Glenn Hoddle. And now my dad had a special love for Jurgen Klinsmann. But now he said watching Kane is different. He's different. He's built different. He's Spurs boy, born and bred. Ignore the famous Arsenal picture, but he's a Spurs lad, came through the academy, and he's he's proven
Spurs fan, bred, not born.
he's Spurs fan. He was. It's like those Royal Navy adverts that was made in Tottenham Hotspur or something. But
Exactly.
he's it's really special because he's one of I wouldn't say he's one of us. He's one of the crowd. He would have gone to Spurs games same as any other kid, and it just kind of shows that not to be cliche, but you can fulfill any dream you want. But aside from the whole romantic element of it, I'm happy that we've got someone like him. I think he's like, out of anyone who scored like over 100, over however many goals, he's like got one of the best goals per game ratio of anyone who scored that many goals. So that's in essence in that should show you just how much of a legend is, and he's doing it all before he hits 30. That's the most incredible thing. He's scored. If he scores one more Premier League goal, he's hit the big 200 before the age of 30, and he's taken Spurs goal scoring record before the age of 30. For one club, I can't think of another player outside of the goats of the game who, in my lifetime, has done what he's done in the time span that he's done it in for his boyhood club. So, Kane at Tottenham is like Totti at Roma. He's an icon of this club.
Yeah, and we don't really
Yeah.
celebrate that enough. Like I see Harry Kane like a Robin Hood type guy, like stealing from the rich to give to the poor. You know, like it's a person who's for, because he's stealing results for us. That's really on the nose. That's what it means. But like he's a person of he's a man of the people. He could easily go. He could be a Ronaldo and chase the money. He could be out in the middle of nowhere, probably lifting a trophy. We probably make trophies for him out there. You know, like
To be fair, he did try push a move to Man City last year.
fair enough, but like it's just.
Oh, did he? I don't remember that.
Okay, I don't know if that. I mean, you would if you were getting like to 28. I mean, that was when he was 28. That was a long time ago. But like you would if you felt like you weren't being backed and your club was kind of like pissing in your face, you know, by not really giving the team the investment. But I think it speaks volumes. Mikey's like hit the nail on the head there. Well done, Mikey. Hammer away.
Thank you. I think well, not too much hammering because I'm going to watch Spurs play the Hammers in a couple of weeks' time. So let's hope there's not too much hammering.
We'll hammer the hammers. We're carving knives and spanners.
We will. Yes, we will. I think like watching from a fan's perspective, going from watching, you know, in the days of Gareth Bale when we only had really one big superstar. You know, we went through Van der Vaart, Modric, and Bale. We had like players like Defoe and Lennon, but watching players like Sandro and Soldado coming through, and then watching, you know, Harry Kane now, it's like without Kane,
I won't have one bad word about Sandro, not one.
All right, well, we differ in that. I mean, look, compared to Kane,
What's wrong with Sandro? Sandro is brilliant for us.
I mean, I'm comparing him to Harry Kane, so there's
fair enough.
That's what I'm coming from. But, you know,
also put him in the same boat as Soldado. The disrespect on Sandro's name.
Well, it is what it is.
Fair enough, Mikey.
Mikey, apart from like Harry Kane, who was like your standout player last night? Who carried the team last night? Who stood out?
No, I think Emerson Royale deserves a mention. I don't think he carried the team, but he deserves a mention for sure because it was probably his best game in a Tottenham shirt since, if I can remember any good one. I guess when he played against Everton, I think he had one game against Everton. He had a pretty good game, and I guess the game against Man City at the Etihad, not the last one, but the one last year when we won 3-2, he seemed to be okay then as well. So
yeah, I think it's his best performance probably since Anfield last season.
Yeah.
It's his best game I've seen him play, but they come few and far between, and you know, so it's, you know, he not to say that he should be put into a right centre back role because Emerson is not a centre back. You know, Emerson would not cut it as a centre back, but he, you know, the position, I don't know what position it was yesterday, but whatever position he played, it seemed to fulfill his skill role. You know, I said on the post-match show last night that it allowed Kulusevski to vacate, you know, because with Emerson making overlapping runs, Kulusevski would like come in and cross on his on his left foot, and more often than not, that cross would spin over everyone and end up out for a goal kick. But you know, when he's crossing from the wider areas, he's got more more distance to get on the cross, and so it can often end up being accurate. Kulusevski didn't have his best game yesterday, but I do think out of everyone, he was the one pushing us forward the most. He didn't have a great game, but I think a lot of fans were like, you know, oh, he had a shit game. I think he personally was his driving, he was picking up the ball and looking forward every single time, and he's probably the only player on the pitch that did that consistently. I know Bentancur can do that, but not all the time. And you know, I'm just watching Perisic. It just reminds me that we've got Destiny Udogie coming in next season because Perisic isn't a left wing back. I love Perisic because I've loved him as a player since the 2018 World Cup when he played against England. He was outstanding. And I'm glad that we have him, but he's not a left wing back. Let's have that right.
Well, not anymore anyway.
Not anymore,
let's say,
he's lost a lot of pace. He can't get back up and down.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes he's calm in defence when it's balls coming over and it's like chest the ball back to Lloris. But when it's actually when he actually is like, you know, get the ball out from the back or like actually fall in a little deeper, he's a little bit worried.
And when he gets asked to play against anyone with any sort of pace, he gets undone every time.
Yeah,
like Mo Salah versus Perisic, you know.
Well, just look at the Arsenal game, for God's sake. You know, he was terrible. Oh, sorry, he didn't play against the Arsenal game. It's the next game against Man City, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, he just got spun to pieces every single time.
I mean, in fairness, most people would buy Riyad Mahrez, but still, it was not nice watching. So yeah, I'm just happy that we got, because Sessegnon isn't rapid, but he's got more pace than Perisic, that's for sure. But Udogie looks so explosive.
Shame he's got nothing else.
I said yesterday that Udogie was the best attacking left back in the Italian league. I take that back. I've looked at the numbers, and Napoli's left back is comfortably the best attacking wing back in the league. But outside of Napoli's ridiculous season, Udogie's been one of the standout defenders in Serie A from his numbers, and he's just got that direct explosiveness that someone that can pick up the ball on the left side and just drive. And
wait a minute,
especially
who signed him though?
Who signed
Udogie?
What do you mean, who signed him?
Paratici.
So what, he's going to get a year ban for
Everything
accepting lower
Paratici
wages or
does,
something?
I'm like, oh no. Paratici bought his daughter a gift. I'm like, oh God, take it back, take it back.
We don't need another Liverpool tapping up crisis. No, I think.
Yeah.
I think no. If you look, there is one man I want to talk about, and I don't know what's happened to him, but I think it's finally starting to come to. This isn't just a small blip. It looks like it's becoming more permanent, and that's Heung-min Son. I don't know what's happened there, but I think, and a lot of people don't think about this. He reached, he's the first Asian to win the Golden Boot in the Premier League in the history of the English top flight with 23 goals.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that his ambition may have just stoked a little bit after finally reaching that success? Because that's what it looks like to me. It's obviously physically something's wrong as well, but I think his ambition and his motivation, he finally reached what he wanted to. He's reached the pinnacle of his career outside of a team trophy, and I think it's just looks like a little bit of the fire. There's something not quite right there, and I think it's finally time to accept that perhaps starting every game isn't going to help him. You saw what happened. He got a rest. He started on the bench, came off and scored a hat-trick. Now, I'm not saying that happened every game, but when his position was threatened, last time his position was threatened, he came on and secured his position again. And maybe, just maybe, it might be time to start giving a Richarlison, who we spent big money on, a run out, because he's not going to start a striker. Let's have it right. He's not going to start a striker for the next 5 years at least. So if Kane stays, so you've got to push him out onto that left wing. He's not a right winger. He's more comfortable on the left. And if Son's in, use it, one shot, one assist, and one key pass in 10 games or something ridiculously,
very poor.
Something ridiculous like that. We need when our defense isn't up to par, we need to at least be able to outscore the opposition. And if we're carrying someone like Heung-min Son in the lineup who's not contributing anything, he lost the ball so many times yesterday, so inconsistent, and it's evident that I know Richarlison is not a left winger, but a different option.
Would you like to see Perisic in that position potentially?
If we had Udogie now, yeah, but we don't. And I rate Perisic over Sessegnon in the left wing back position pretty much. As bad as he is as a defender, I do not want to see Sessegnon in the starting 11. He's been ripped to shreds way too many times. He had, I think, one game where he pocketed Mo Salah, and we all thought, this might be a turning point. And since then, it just hasn't happened.
Yeah,
the infamous 2-2 draw. But I think I'm losing patience with that left side.
The thing with Son is so when it's a hard thing to understand. I've done it like a couple of times where you set like an unbelievable goal. Like when I was 9 years old, I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a big writer. And then when I became a best-selling author, like I did not know what to do with my life for 5 years. And so it's a huge thing. It's like if he's a player coming from Asia to play in the biggest league in the world, to win that boot, like that is like the pinnacle of everything he could have imagined. It's gonna have an effect. It's gonna drain the tank. Then to have as much as he had on his shoulders this season, to be the most photographed Asian person in a year. Like, do you know how insane that is? To be like the amount of deals he took on sponsorship wise, to be the face of Asia in a World Cup year. Like, and then for his team not to do well, for him to keep fighting like this, like I have these dreams and I have these aims, but the tank is gone, it's empty. So I feel bad for him, and I also do know that the position he is best at, which is coming off the shoulder of a defender, Kane putting a nice little diagonal ball in, that's not how he's playing this season. And it also does start with a problem at the back, a midfielder who would always put him in, being handcuffed, and then he's left there going, oh, I have to drop to help on this side because we're bad on the left side. So I've got to pick up those balls on the turn, which it's never really been his game. So he's had to adapt to the problems we have rather than just let Sonny play. That and the fact that, run a bad form and, the gas tank being gone. It's harder than it is, and I hope that, like, I don't know about you, Mickey, but I still keep feeling for him and wanting him to just, like, take a little time out and then come back and then just go on a run again,
I do feel that as well, but you've got to put aside your love for a player when the team's on a bad run of form. It's like it's love for the player or willing for the team to do well. I love Sonny to bits. He's probably him. It's a hard enough choice to have to pick between him and Kane at who your favorite Spurs player is. But it's a love for the club is over a love for any player, and if the club needs to push the player out of the 11. Because Richarlison hasn't been given a start since the World Cup. He was, or has he? No, he hasn't. I think he will against Preston.
He's been injured though. He's been injured.
It's true. That is true. He has had his injury worries, and we've kind of been forced to play Kane and Son every minute of every game because we're missing Lucas Moura. Richarlison hasn't been fit. Brian Hill hasn't been convincing, I guess, enough for Conte.
And Kulu's had his injuries as well.
Of course, let's not forget that. So. Yeah, I think Son, I do feel for him, but also it's like, not to put it in too simple a term because there is many factors at play, but for a player of his ability, even, a player of his ability, with even though you still expect him to have scored more than 4 goals by this stage of the season. Maybe even if you are having a below par season, you still get maybe 7 or 8 or 9 by this stage of a season. And it's really hard to look at Son and just see every game bad touch, looks tired. The whole team looks lethargic. Even yesterday we looked lethargic. Again, it took us till the second half to start controlling a game, which is, it's been bandied about way, way, way too often that we are a second half team. I mean, we scored in the first half, but, by no means did we perhaps deserve to go in at halftime 1-0 up on the balance of the game. But a win is a win yesterday, but I think Son, it's not about losing patience. It's about realizing that we have got a game against Preston, and if Richarlison bags, if he starts and bags against Preston, I can see Richarlison perhaps coming into the starting 11 for Man City and Son being dropped. If Richarlison has a good enough performance against Preston.
I just can't see Richarlison on that side of the pitch, like not through the center where he's really at his strongest. I just can't see him being as confident, in that role to get goals and to be the player that we know he can be. And then that's the tough thing. And so if you're Conte, you're going, do I just persist with Sonny because getting Sonny back to confidence is worth it, or do I save him, take him out the line of fire, put Richie in, even though Richie's not quite ready, maybe risking Richie, and then hopefully Son comes back. It's a tough. You can see it's a very tough decision to make. I think you're right though. I think most of us would just like to take Sonny out the firing line for a little bit.
Yeah, I would personally.
Just for one game, it's it's like I was saying, if Conte, that's a big if Conte does end up walking in the summer and we bring in a manager of perhaps of a different ilk, more of a project, more of a rebuild manager, which I still maintain this club is not built around Conte's strength. He is an instant success manager and we are by no means built for instant success right now. But if that match does continue, then obviously Son will benefit from that. But if a project manager comes in and you do see the likes of, Udogie, Spence, and the younger players given a bit more of a free role, I wouldn't, I said if our end to the season is as diabolical as we predict, as some fans think it might be, and we, let's say this win is just a blip and we end up going on another poor streak in Conte, well, I wouldn't be averse to selling one of our two most sellable assets, preferably Son over Kane, and just using that money for a rebuild.
Yeah.
If
I can
if
definitely
it,
see
if
where
it
you're coming from.
persists, if it persists, because he is, Kane is 29, Son is, I believe, a year older. I think he's 30, turning 31, which for a player who relies on, one of his greatest assets is his pace, and his pace has been off it this season. And if that is that's a worrying sign given his age profile. If his pace is starting to go now, that's a little bit worrying. So I wouldn't be, if you can still fetch 50 to 75 million pounds for a player like him. As much as I love him, and I do love him, that's going to be a very unpopular opinion with a lot of Tottenham fans, but I would cash in.
Yeah, no, I can see that. But like, where are you at confidence-wise in the team? What do you think's going to happen from here on out? How do you see it playing out? Like, what do you really think? Do you think we are going to like drop the ball again and go on a bit of a bad run, or do you think this clean sheet adds on, like, and we start kind of just going on a little run? Because we're not in a bad position right now.
The last time I predicted something, I remember I was talking to my girlfriend, and she asked me after Son scored the hat-trick, I said, do you think Son is form will pick up? And I said, from what I've seen, I don't think it will. And I've been proven, unfortunately, right. So whenever I make a prediction like this, I think that it will get better, but not as good as we need it to be to get back into the top four. I think we finish in the Europa League places. I think Newcastle and Man United, even though we do have 3 points off them, they look extremely strong. Obviously, Arsenal and Man City aren't going to drop out of the top four. That would be a crisis for them. I think the teams around us, and Spurs specifically, I think Europa League 5th or 6th place would be where we finish.
So do you think Newcastle have a stronger end to the season than us? Like, do you think they sustain, given that they've not really been in this position for a long time, you think they sustain all the way to the end of the season and stay higher than us?
It will. I do. I just think I do think because they look absolutely brilliant on their day. I know that they've had a couple of 0-0 draws recently, but I still think they're looking to invest before the end of the window, something which we might take inspiration from. And I've also seen reports that Nicolo Zaniolo is closer to joining AC Milan than he is to joining Tottenham.
Well, thanks, Mickey. You've ruined my day.
No. I did not mean to do that. No, it's just like there has been several reports that he wants to stay in Italy, and AC Milan are preparing an offer for him. So you put two and two together, you might have a repeat of the Bastoni situation where he just doesn't want to leave his home.
Surely Roma would prefer to sell him to us though than Milan.
I would have thought that. And also, I saw.
But we're not stumping up the money. We're offering 37 million plus add-ons, and Sporting have made it clear that they will not accept anything below 45. And if you're going to offer 37 million in add-ons, where's the?
Oh, you talking about Porro or Zaniolo?
I'm talking about the fact that in both deals, we're not offering the money we want. And it's ridiculous, especially in the Porro deal. We've offered 37 mil plus add-ons, and they want 45.
Plus a player as well.
If you're going to... Yeah, and if that player is more than likely someone like Davinson Sanchez or Matt Doherty, that's 37 million plus £1 extra. It's an Arsene Wenger situation again. And it's like...
Do you want Davinson Sanchez or do you want an extra £1? I'll take the extra £1, please.
I don't know. It's annoying from the recruitment point of view because we do need players. But again, Conte's future's up in the air, so I do see the club's point of view why they're not signing players. But even so, we still desperately need players. But obviously, we've got three right backs, and Porro would make a fourth.
Just before we let you go, I had a super chat from Jory earlier, and he said, "Did Ben just tell Mikey to rub one out?"
Hey, that's for you to answer. I ain't answering this.
All right, Mikey, thanks for coming on today. Great call as always, and we'll speak to you soon.
Next one,
you two guys, in a bit.
Take care.
There's been a couple of stories breaking in on social media since we've been on. We're going to get to Alex very soon. He's going to be our next caller. But the headlines are, first of all, is Tottenham have hijacked Everton's deal for Arnaud Danjuma of Villarreal, apparently according to Speakport O. Would you like to see him through the door?
I mean, he's good for them. and the way they play, would he work here?
What attributes? I'm not sure what he brings.
He's a striker, right? He goes through the center.
Yeah.
He's not coming and taking Kane's spot, and like I think then that's a waste for his talent. Like if he comes off a wing and he's really good, then yeah, sure. If he's a creative player, but he's a straightforward striker. He's a good one, but he didn't have a great time in the Prem before, right?
I don't think he played in the Prem. He played for Bournemouth in the Championship.
Oh, in the Championship, yeah.
And got a lot of goals in the Championship.
Oh,
and then
okay,
he
yeah.
got sold to Villarreal when they got
Okay.
promoted.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, he is good for them. Every time I've seen him, I'm like, what was this guy? You know, and then it's, oh, it's him. So, I don't know. We're in the situation where we're like, anyone. But no, I'd prefer someone with a creative edge to them, Zaniolo or someone like that.
And there's been an update on Porro from Alistair Gold as well, and he says there's a feeling a deal for Porro could join. The deal for Porro could go either way this week. However, definite progress has been made with a belief that Sporting are no longer set on demanding that 39 million release clause, which is paid. So,
Well, what day is it today?
It's
It's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Where we're at 37. So Wednesday 38. So he's saying by Thursday we could have the deal done. 39 million. We go up $1 million per day.
This ain't getting done by deadline day. If it's getting done, I can assure you that. But at least it's slightly more positive news that they're willing to now go below the asking price, and that will be right into Daniel Levy's hands, wouldn't it?
He's broke them down.
He's broken them. Levy has broken Sporting. But anyway, let's get on our next guest, and it's Mr. Box Office. If you don't know, you better get to know, because here comes Alex.
What's up, Al?
How you doing, Alex?
Uh-oh.
I've got to say this.
Here we
I have
go.
to say this at the moment. I haven't got that long. I haven't got that long, to be honest with you. We were crap yesterday. I don't know what some people are chatting this waffle. And the people that are saying to me, this is why we're in the mud. Our fan base is in the mud. I don't care what things, because I'm the most hated Tottenham fan going. So I don't really care. Because Mr. Box Office can just hit it hit it every single time. Hit it every single time. Because if you don't know, get to know. I've said it on my channel already, bro. I don't really care. We were crap yesterday, yeah? We were crap. And the people that are saying, masterclass from Emerson, you're embarrassing. You are absolutely embarrassing. Yeah,
I think it's a bit
That's
more
why
tongue in cheek,
we're in the
Alex.
mud.
Because I
That
think
is
it's a
why-
bit more tongue. Wait a sec. I think it's a bit more
Well,
tongue in cheek with
No,
Emerson,
it's
because
embarrassing,
he put in a
it's
better performance,
embarrassing,
which he
bro.
usually does.
It's embarrassing, bro. If you're telling me that is masterclass from Emerson, who's just doing tackles
Compared to
like
him,
that,
though. Compared to
it
how he
was
normally plays.
rubbish. He's crap. He's crap. It was a rubbish performance. Fulham were much better than us, bruv. The
were.
only reason why they couldn't get
Yeah.
because we were so defensive, it's unbelievable. Literally, I had the TV on, yeah, watching it, yeah, right, watching that performance, and literally, I was just looking. I was like, oh, Fulham are doing so much. They're doing so much passing here. They're passing it so well. We're not doing nothing. And literally, the only reason why we won that game because Kane decided to shoot from outside the box, and that's why we scored. And that's the only reason why we're getting.
Well,
we're
that's a
getting
very
results
short
at the moment.
analysis there from Alex. It's a very
That's
short
it.
summary.
It's so crap. Honestly, I
We
don't
were
know where
shit.
we're going
Kane
with
took
it.
a shot.
Because literally, we've won one game, and everyone's saying, "Oh, well done, Tottenham. We're doing really well at the moment now. Well done. We're back to top 4 now. We're back to top 4."
Well, we're only 3 points
Honestly,
away.
what nonsense are we talking about? Honestly.
Well, we're only 3 points away. Like, officially, we could be there with a
If
win.
you're thinking that, bruv, we're in the mud even more, bruv. Yeah? What was the problem? What was the problem with us with Poch, yeah? What was the problem? We didn't win no trophies, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? Look, as I said before, you know my thoughts already, Brains, because we were in the stadium already. I told you, this guy's walking anyway.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
guy's walking
it's
already.
hard to get away from that fact. But listen, Alex, I know the performance wasn't great last night and hasn't been great for a while. Look, let's get that out there. But with the way the things are shaping itself up, only 3 points outside the top 4, still in the Champions League, still in the FA Cup. Things are going pretty well in the FA Cup as well, with
Bruv, we're
teams
not winning
matching
the
up
FA Cup,
against
bruv.
each
You
other.
can't beat a Nottingham Forest team. If you can't beat a second team that plays Nottingham Forest team, you're not getting winning the FA Cup.
We've
bruv.
already
Let's be
beaten
honest
Nottingham
here.
Forest this season.
Bruv, no, but bruv, if you can't beat a Nottingham Forest team, second team in the Carabao Cup, yeah, you're not gonna win the FA Cup, bruv. Because as soon as we get a decent team out, and ironically, who have we beat in the top 6, bruv? Who have we beat in the top 6?
Yeah, but
Nobody.
we might
Literally
not
nobody.
play them, and we might not play the top 6 until like the final.
Oh, brains, don't clutch that straw. Bob, you're doing it again. You're doing it again. You know what I mean?
Alex,
I'm
I
sorry.
remember having these conversations with you this time last year, and you were like, "No chance for top 4. It's never gonna happen." Blah blah blah. And then somehow
no, that's the trophy, bro. Where's my
galvanised
trophy?
them, Chelsea, and get top 4.
Where's my trophy? Where's
We're not
the trophy?
talking about
Where's the
trophy. We're talking about
bruv?
top 4.
Where is it? I can't see
We're
it.
not
Where is
talking
it?
about-
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I can't see it. Where is it? Oh, top, what's the trophy?
bought
Where
one
is
for
it?
yourself.
I can't see it. Where is it? Where is the trophy? Where's the trophy, Ben? Where is it? I can't
are
see
you-
it.
are-
Where
are
is
you
it?
looking-
Where is it, Ben? I can't see
Alex,
the
we're not
trophy.
talking
Where is
about
it?
trophy. We're talking about top 4.
Oh my gosh, what's this shiny little thing that we call a trophy? Where is it?
Are you looking
Where's-
for the
Oh,
crazy
that's
Span
yours?
trophy?
Yes,
Because it should be on your
Oh, is it?
mantelpiece.
Is that Manchester United know what it is anyway. Oh, Arsenal could win it as well. Oh, that's going to trigger Tottenham fans, isn't it? Oh, Arsenal, well, yes. Oh, yes. You know, where is it? Manchester City, yeah, we saw it yesterday, Manchester City. Where is it at Tottenham? Where is it? Where is it? And where's that loser Kane, by the way?
Alex, get this trophy thing out of your head for a second, and let's talk about top 4, because this is what the conversation is about.
Top 4 is not it shouldn't be the conversation. That's the problem.
But it is. That's reality
That's
for
why,
us.
That's why Conte is leaving, bro. He wants championships, bro. He
Probably
wants
should
championships.
never have been here for where we're at. He probably
but
should
bro,
have never been here.
his contract's ending at the end of the season. TikTok, bruv. TikTok clock's ticking.
I don't think he's
Clock
on
is
TikTok.
ticking.
I don't think he's on TikTok.
Clock TikTok, bruv. The clock is ticking. If he was happy, and the thing is though, this is where Tottenham fans are literally waffling. Yeah. Okay. If you don't understand what Conte wants already, why getting him in the first place, bruv? Where's that right wing back he needs, by the way, bruv? Oh yeah, he's in Portugal. Well, we need to get him, by the way. We need to get him. Why do you not get him in summer, bruv? When we got Champions League, when it was a big achievement, a massive achievement, yeah? Where's
Alex,
that central defender?
Have you called Daniel Levy and left us on his voice
where's
machine?
that central defender? Where's that central defender that he was told that he needs in his system? Oh, well, we don't need it at the moment because he didn't get his players at the moment. He can't get the player that he wants. Can't get Guardiola. He can't get Bastoni. Okay, but he's a top manager. He needs top players for his system. And this is a guy that had a director of football that is called the Don, who should know what he's doing because he did everything at Juventus for him. Now, come on, bruv. Come on. You know what I mean? Our team is in the mud. And I'm sorry. Yes, well done to Kane for getting the golden record. But records will get broken, bro. Until he wins a trophy, bruv, he's going nowhere. You know what I mean? He's still a loser. Because the fact is, he's gone in finals and not got us over that line. And that is going to be what he's going to be judged on. That's it, simple. And that's the truth, bruv. And truth hurts. And that's all they need to say, bro.
But if Harry Kane knew that this is what if this was the majority thought towards him from a fan, do you think he would want to stay at the club, knowing that fans at his own club are calling him a loser?
If he signs that contract, knowing what's going on at Tottenham, he's still culpable for it. Like Conte, if Conte signs that contract knowing that he's not going to get backed, he's going to be at fault as well, bro. He's got to be at fault as well.
But who's your beef with? Why take it out on Kane and Conte? Your beef
you're not listening
with
to
them.
me. You're deflecting again. You're not listening to me. My point is, no, because Ben's not listening to me. My point is, okay. My point is that if Kane, okay, because Kane's saying that he needs trophies, yeah, right?
No, I don't think he said that.
No, but he wants trophies because the fact is he hasn't signed the contract yet for Tottenham yet. Yeah,
maybe he wants to play for the team he loves and keep his family in the right place.
He was twerking for Manchester City a couple of years ago, yeah? He was twerking for Manchester City a couple of years ago, yeah? Right? Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, yeah, if he wants to stay, if he stays at Tottenham, knowing the full well that Daniel Levy's not going to back the managers, and Conte leaves, he's culpable as well as Conte if he signs that contract as well. And this is the fact.
If he signs
this is a fact. Yeah, so that's reality. And we don't need to say any more. There's no conversations, no going sideways about this at all. It's simple as that. That's direct and simple to the point. If he stays at Tottenham, and the same with Son, and the same with the others as well, because they know this as well, bruv. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? The only thing that was key that I saw yesterday, which I have to say, there was some emotion there yesterday because I saw Kane's interview. He was nearly crying yesterday. Literally nearly crying in the interview. Something's gone on. something doesn't look right to me. But by the way,
He
yesterday.
levelled Jimmy
Something
Greaves'
does not look
record. It's a
right.
massive day for him yesterday.
He just became the tied top scorer for the club he loves. Alex, why is that not enough for him to be emotional?
No, but I'm saying to you right now, yes, it's great that he's won the record, but there will be people that might break that record, though, bro.
You think
If he
someone's going to
doesn't
score
win a trophy-
266 goals?
If he doesn't win a trophy, no one can take. If he wins a trophy, no one can take it away from him. Simple as that.
I don't
That's the
want to
point
live
I'm
in a
making.
world where you're only a good player if you have a trophy cabinet and silver pretty things behind you. What happened to just
Well, if you're a
respecting
Chelsea
players
fan, you
for
wouldn't
being
say
a
that.
great player?
If you're a Chelsea
Yeah,
fan,
but
you
I'm
wouldn't say
not.
that, though,
I'm a
bruv.
Spurs fan. I
Yeah,
don't.
but bruv, you wouldn't say that if you're a Chelsea fan, though. That's the
I
thing.
know,
You're
I
saying
know,
that
but
because you're a
they're
Tottenham
crazy.
fan. You're saying it because we're Tottenham fans, and it's happening to Tottenham at the moment, yeah?
Because
If you're
we
a
need
Manchester
something to
United,
appreciate.
Leicester City fan, you wouldn't say that, bruv. You wouldn't say that. Don't
We have
dig
to
a hole
cling
for
on to
yourself,
something,
brains, bruv.
Alex. We need to cling on to something.
Oh well, this is why we're clutching at straws and we're Spurs and we're in the
But
mud.
then,
bruv.
Alex, why
anyway,
are you still?
you know what,
Why are you
bruv? My
still a
time's
Spurs
short,
fan?
bruv. I'm time short, bruv. You know what, bruv? If you want to have another debate with brains, yeah. Time, you know what time it is when you want to do it again, bruv. Just do it. Hit me up, bruv, and let me know, bruv. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Alright,
But my
Alex.
time's short. I've got to go, bruv. So
If you
like I
don't
say,
know,
if you
get
know
to
what,
know.
if you know what's good for you, bruv, you know what is good for you, bruv. You know where to find me, Alex THSC. And if you don't know, get to know, because you saw what I've done with Brains. I batted him out the building, and I'm out the building right now, bruv. Yeah, and that's it. And take care, guys. Yeah. Big up to you guys, yeah. Take care, boys.
Take
yeah.
care, Alex.
And as I said,
Love you, man.
Good to chat to you,
Mr.
Alex.
Fox is out of here. Yeah, take care, Bob. Yeah, bye bye.
dude.
Mic drop. Love that.
Oh, God,
If you
I do
don't
love
know,
that guy.
get to know. Mr. Box Office over and out. A bit more news on Dan Juma, as Paul O'Keefe is saying now that we have hijacked this Dan Juma deal to Everton.
If it's Paul O'Keefe saying it, I'm not following it. he gets so much wrong for me.
But anyway, if it is true, I'm just looking at the stats now. He's had 51 games for Villarreal, 22 goals, 4 assists. It's interesting to note, 27 of these games have come as centre forward. 9 of these games has come as left winger. 2 of these games has come as second striker. In centre forward, 27 games, 14 goals, 3 assists. As a left winger, 9 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. And as a second striker, 2 games and 1 goal. It's a bit of a variation
So
there.
he kind of scores it from everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you'd said before we were looking at Richarlison, and you'd said him, I'd have been like him over Richarlison because he is more of an out-and-out scorer and he's got a bit more about him. Like his shoulders are massive. He'll body a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, get him in.
Look, at the end of the day, beggars
Anyone.
can't be choosers. Just bring them in, people. Bring them in.
Anyone in.
But at least it's a bit more positive news on players that we can bring through the door. Let's bring on Ashmatic and see what he has to think of the whole situation. Ashmatic, yes,
Yes,
bro. How
Ash.
you doing, man?
Well, go on, my people. You good? You blessed?
Look, 3
You
points
alright?
last night. Harry Kane, top goal scorer of Spurs, 266 goals. Talk of signings through the door. Let's talk about that first. What's your feeling about the Dan Juma deal?
Dan Juma, I haven't seen much of him, to be honest with you. I know he's a dribbler. I know, I can tell you that. He's right-footed, so potentially he could be coming on to Son's side if
Yeah,
he's
cutting in.
right-footed. So it could be an option for us. He's a striker, so he knows where the goal is. And we are lacking someone that can beat a man. So if he's got good dribbling stats and that's his attributes, I welcome him through the door, to be honest with you. We are lacking a bit of pace up top, I feel. Spurs just need that kind of I wouldn't say like the threat in behind, but because when teams play us, they kind of play in front of us. So we need a player that can actually do a 1v1 and beat their man. And I feel that we're lacking that quite a bit. So I would, if he can do it, I'm happy. And he plays at a Champions League or a Europa team. So the Spanish league it's not an easy league. So let's see what the boy can do, man. What team was he at before? What championship team was he at?
He was at Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Yeah.
He played,
Bournemouth played
50
very.
52 games for Bournemouth, 17 goals, 8 assists.
Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
How old is he now?
Yeah. Championship.
25.
Championship. level.
25. If he's 25, and the way I've seen him in the Champions League, I would say bring him
He's
in.
young as well.
Yeah.
And it's a loan deal as well. It's a loan deal. So I mean, there's positives. Is he better than what we have? Is he better than the Brian Hill? Has he got more end product than the Brian Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's physically anyway
Bring
levels
him
away
in.
from a Brian Hill.
Yeah. He
Bring him in
bodies
then,
people
bring
with
him
his,
in,
with
bring
his
him in.
shoulders. Like the one thing I've seen him a lot is he like runs in and he creates his space by bashing in and then. So he's got strength. Like,
Was he at the World
Bring him
Cup?
in
'Cause I
then,
don't remember
because-
seeing him at all. He's only had 6 caps for Netherlands. Is that a worry that he's only been called up 6 times?
No, I mean he's got
they've got a lot of
competition in
players.
that position, hasn't he?
yeah.
So
they got a
there's
lot of players.
you got your Gakpo, you got your
Memphis.
Bergwijn was at us. I was gonna say Bergwijn. Bergwijn was playing for us. Awkward. Moving on.
Exactly. Does that really bode well when Bergwijn's getting in ahead of him in the Dutch squad?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Bergwijn's like a
Bergwijn should
different
be
player
sold
when he doesn't wear a
because-
Spurs shirt.
Yeah, Bergwijn should have really been sold if we had to rely on Brian Hill. Do you know what I mean?
True,
I think
yeah.
Brian Hill should have been loaned out, and I think Bergwijn should have been kept. But it all depends what the manager fancies. Like when Bergwijn was playing for us, he kind of played him a bit more up front, up top, and he would bring him on a lot, and the balls would sting into Bergwijn. Whereas I prefer Bergwijn a little bit more on the wing. I think he's a little bit more effective rather than playing him up top like a striker. That's how I felt Antonio played him when he came on. I don't know. Don't know what you guys think. But
I'm just gonna
coming to
pause
the-
you there,
go on.
Ashmatic, for 1 second because
Go
there's
for it,
been an
go for it, go
update
for it.
from Fabrizio Romano on it, and he says Tottenham are trying to hijack Danjuma deal. Villarreal star had an agreement in place with Everton and medical test done on Sunday. Just waiting
wow.
to sign the official documents. Decision soon as Spurs are trying to enter the race just before the final formal steps. We're doing a Chelsea, guys.
We're actually doing in Chelsea. This is funny. That's actually funny. I feel sorry for
But that-
Everton.
I reckon that tells you that there's Zaniola thing's not going to happen then.
I agree. But it looks as
you're
though
right.
things are moving.
You're right.
But
right.
Ash, let's get onto the game last night. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. You know what? I kind of turned up late to the game. So when I came in, I
Oh,
came in
you
10
you
minutes
turned up
in.
just for the goal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I turned up just for the goal. So I literally came in, like literally before the goal came in, it was like 10 minutes before that. And we had the ball. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing all the complaints, everyone moaning. And I'm like, we're playing all right. We've got the
Yeah,
ball,
that was
we're
a good
doing stuff,
patch.
we're doing bits. I said, yeah, we got possession, we look a threat. The boys look up for it. Like, yeah, I liked, well, for me, I liked the, we've already spoken about Emerson coming inside a lot. But even before that, he had an opportunity where Kulusevski picks up the ball quite deep, and he goes to the wing, and then he dribbles past 1 or 2 players. It hits off like the corner post, comes back to him, and then Emerson was in a position where he's on the outside of the box in that kind of half space I always talk about. Gets the ball, dribbles inside on his weaker foot, and then smashes it with his right foot across the box. No, not across the box, to the near post of the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper's forced to make a save. So I thought that was quite decent. I know, like in the first half, I saw some highlights and I saw that their first chance comes from Son. Son's deep and he dribbles with the ball as he's been doing this season, loses the ball, and that puts us under pressure. And that always happens when we lose the ball and we try to do something in our own half. So he's lost the ball in our own half, and then they've basically created a chance in the middle and they've shot outside the box, and it's forced Reece to make a save. I think it was
It
the
was
other
going
Reece.
wide, wasn't it? It was like that shot, wasn't it?
No,
Was
I
that the
think
one
it was
you're
on
talking
goal.
about? Oh, okay.
The first chance, the one it was on goal,
okay.
and Lloris was forced to make a save. Yeah, because
Oh,
Son's
yeah, yeah.
literally dribbled with it. They've got the ball. They've done 1-2 touches, and then Reed's in like he's like in the center
yeah,
of the pitch,
yeah.
and he's in between the lines, and he shoots, and then Lloris has forced to make a save, and he palms it out wide into a corner
I remember
for a
that,
corner. So they've obviously gotten that first chance, and they were passing well before that. And then the second chance we concede is when it goes down the side, and it's between it's between Reed again. Is it Reed? Yeah, Reed's gone on the side, and he plays it back to what's his face, Pereira. Pereira does a nice cross into the box, and it's the Ginger Reed now. The Ginger Reed gets a volley. And I think he should have done much better, because Lloris is right at Lloris. It's quite close to the goal, and Lloris saves it. It's quite an easy save in the end. But that chance, if he scores that, it's a different game, I think. And I think that's what people are complaining about, because they've had the first two chances. They're playing the ball. They've got more possession. They're looking more of a threat centrally and down the wings. They're creating chances, and Spurs are dealing with it, but we're not dealing with it too well because we're not creating our own chances. But I think the tide turns. Obviously, Emerson has that chance, but even then, after that, Kane's got a chance where he's picked up the ball and he's in between two of the double pivots, and he's kind of like muscled both of them off. He's dribbled at the goal. He's taken a shot and it's gone over the bar. And so, like, at that stage, I'm thinking, right, 2-2. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've had two good chances on goal. We've had two good chances on goal. And then the next chance comes where Højbjerg does a key pass into Son. Son has space now, and he's able to dribble into space. And I think Son's better when he has space to dribble into. So he's got that space to dribble into. He finds Kane. Kane's in between the two centre halves. He does that touch with his weaker foot out of his body, and then he uses the centre back as he does to kind of blindside the keeper and just bangs it. And it's a top goal from outside the box. Kane's just looking like another level. Especially in that moment, in that period, in periods of games, he just kind of picks our team up. Like when we were struggling a little bit against Preston to find a chance or find something. Kane's just got that. He's like a big game player now. Has been for a while, and he's just been able to just, take us up another gear, take us up another level. So he scores that goal and he does very well. And then obviously we blow the whistle and then it's half time. So up until that point, obviously Fulham were all over us, but we've got a turn of fortune. And then in the second half,
were you impressed in the second half with the 5-4-1? Like everyone fall in the two lanes, close it out.
I thought that was a typical Antonio. That was what I expected from Antonio. A 5-4-1, hard to beat defensive unit. And I think we were in a 5-4-1 a lot because we didn't have a lot of the ball. And because we didn't have a lot of the ball, we were happy for them to have the ball out wide. They were passing sideways a lot of the time. So I was watching the game, I was like, I didn't feel like Fulham had any threat other than that when they went long into Mitrovic. And Mitrovic got a big boot into his chest by Romero. And we were conceding a lot of yellow cards. Bentancur picked up one from Mouth and North. Romero. Who else picked up yellow cards? There's a few other players that picked up yellows unnecessarily.
I think Son got one as
well. Son was lucky.
Son had to be careful. Yeah, Son had to be careful. So it was needlessly. I thought we picked up needless yellow cards. That was my main complaint from the game yesterday. But in terms of defensively, I think we looked like a real good, solid defensive unit, and I think we learned a lot of lessons from Arsenal and from Man City, which why I was impressed on. I always think that Spurs fans always look at the attacking aspect, but for me, Conte is a pragmatic manager, and when we concede a lot of goals, that's when I'm more kind of like concerned with Conte's tactics that we're conceding so much. But I know a lot of them is from mistakes. And I did see him say before in a press conference, he was saying to the boys that I think the reason why he went to the same 11 is because he wanted a reaction from the boys. And what he was asking from them is like anyone can make mistakes, but don't let that make you become negative. I still want you to try stuff, even if you do lose the ball. And I thought that's an important message, even for like young players, academy players, even players that haven't even, they're just starting out in the game. It's very important that you should express yourself in a football match and not be afraid to do what you want on the pitch. Yeah. And I thought that was good, especially for Emerson as well. I thought Emerson had a good game. And I was just saying, even off the back of Man City, because he scored off the back of Man City, and you could see that his confidence has gone up because he was trying little flicks. I saw little back heels he was doing. Defensively, he was really sharp. So when we did push on and we made mistakes, he was always there. He was always able to get back. And I know everyone's complaint of him is going forward, that he's not, supplying enough going forward. But I just thought he had a good all-around performance yesterday, and I thought it was worth a mention. But yeah, off the back of Man City
as well, Ash. It was tactically as well. The way he was coming into the centre, and also Kulusevski, he was always that option on the right-hand side. And I mean, Correct. It just drains all of us when we see Emerson on the right-hand side trying to put crosses in. And Conte basically told him, do anything but cross the ball yesterday.
Exactly,
do you see that as Conte going, look, I'm trying something with this team. I need certain players to be doing what I need them to do. It's not working. Yeah. This is what I've got, so I'm going to try something different. Like with Emerson putting the arm on the shoulder, like, look, maybe I'm at fault. You're not really a right wing back, but you've got other assets. So maybe come inside, join the midfield, open that passing lane for us, and then all of a sudden Emerson feels like I'm respected now. I'm not a wing back. Like, but I can play. Let me play. Do you think he needs to do that with the Son's position? Because that, for me, like you're saying, when Son comes deep back, facing the goal, he's losing the ball. So something has to change here. We have to change that position up.
Yeah, I think with Son, and I sort of bent to call a little bit yesterday, it's just like when you're not sharp and you take too many touches and you're trying to do the most, that's when you put your team under pressure. With Spurs, we play really well when we play 1 to 2 touch football into feet or in base. And then off the back of that, all of a sudden we're in opposition's half and they're not set. And then we're able to attack. When Son's trying to dribble, when Bentancur's too laxical, when he's too relaxed on the ball, when he's doing dribbling and he's turning in on himself, there's a simple pass, play it with position, whether it's short or it's long, just play it fast, 2 touches. That's all you need to do. Take the ball forward, and you've got it in your locker, but make sure it's into space. Don't try to take 1 or 2 players in when you know the space is crowded. It doesn't make sense. Kind of use your players, use your teams, use your Emerson Riles. You can even do like a fake pass where Emerson's inside, fake to pass to him, and then beat a player, and then pass back to Emerson Riles. Because guess what? Emerson Riles will probably progress up the pitch a little bit further. Those are the type of little triangles I want to see, the little 1-2s, the little quick thinking, fake passing, pass into feet, long pass, switch of play. That's what's going to bring our team forward. Because we do, as Spurs fans, always talk about the 2 in the middle aren't working. The 2 aren't working in the middle when you have sloppy passes, when you're doing bad decision making, when your mind's not sharp and your football IQ is not on point and you're not releasing the ball quick enough, then that's when we're going to lose the ball, or we're not going to progress the ball a bit forward. The 2 in the middle can work. What we just either need the players to be sharp and ready and know when to release the ball, or that personnel needs to switch up a little bit, because Højbjerg, I know he's really good at pressuring. He's good at pressures, and he's good at getting around the pitch, and he's good at covering ground. That's Højbjerg's expertise. His key passes as well. His key passes are also good. So his key passes, he has got that in his locker. His assists, I would prefer his assists to go up. Look, for me, in my midfield, I need a player that wins the ball back and passes the ball forward. It's very simple. And if you can add assists to your game and you can add goals to your game, that's a bonus. Because essentially, a midfielder needs to defend and he needs to attack. And if you're not winning the ball back for the team, I need you to at least progress the ball forward through your dribbles or your carries or passing forward. And that's how the 2 works. And positionally, you need to be ready. If we lose the ball, you're going to run back, and you need to run back into the hole, into that central area, because that's where they're going to want to shoot. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind if the play happens down the sides, because down the sides, we should be able to defend a lot easier, a lot deeper. So it's just in that double pivot, you just need to be switched on tactically. But I need a player that's going to either bring the ball forward in space, not do too much, and just pass the ball forward into channels with pace. Because if Kane's dropping deep, we need that ball into him quickly. But then I need players to run off him. And it just can't be Son. Son needs to do that diagonal run and the bend run. The thing with Richarlison, because I know everyone's calling for Richarlison to start, I'm not sure about his movement off the ball.
Yeah,
I know he has pace, because a lot of the time I've seen him, he's run offside. So that tells to me, if you're running offside a lot, tactically, you're not astute. I know he does defend as a Brazilian. I think it's in their nature. They're just very tenacious. They're really good at running back and winning balls back. You've seen that with Jesus for Arsenal, and Martinelli as well. But for me, I need him to make clever runs, bend the runs, diagonal runs. I saw him on the right-hand side. Good switch of play. But what I need from my players up top, because sometimes midfielders lose the ball when there's no one making a run off the ball, because they take too long dwelling on the ball because they can't see that pass. You know how it is, bro, when you're playing football and you're like, oh, there's no movement. Like when there's no running off the ball, and the strikers, the front 3, they've got to be running. And Kane's he has lost a yard of pace. So because he's lost that yard of pace, he drops in a lot. He does cleverer runs. He knows when to run. So that's where Kane exceeds. Do you understand? But for the players that do have pace, I need to make either you run in one direction, then you change the direction, or you bend your run, or you come short, or you go long, and you stretch the team, and you ask questions of the fullback and the centre back, and that's where we can be fretful. But if they're not doing that, then Paul Højbjerg's not going to be able to make that forward pass. He's not going to be able to progress that pass. But it works both ways, and that's the reason why I've got question marks on a player like Richarlison. Do you know what I'm saying? And also his first touch still questionable for me, and his 1v1s as well. 1v1s is questionable. I don't know if Richarlison's strength is a 1v1. I know that Richarlison in the box is a beast. When it comes to his error threat, he's a beast, and he can run in behind, so he is a threat, and he's got that shithousery about him. He's a nasty player, and he can add that kind of Dele Alli, that edge that we've been missing for a little while, back into Spurs' game. So those are his positives, and I know he's not match fit yet, and that's why he didn't start, and Son's been starting. But I just feel like Son, just keep him up top, closer to Kane, and if not closer to Kane, I need him to make runs that if he's starting wide, he needs to bend that run in, not dribble past players, and just take your time, bro. Take your time, because sometimes you rush it too much. This season's been rushing it a bit too much.
Yeah, you can see he's playing he's slightly panicked, you know, like, and with, I used to think that about Richarlison at Everton, and when we started talking about bringing him, I was like, he is a natural, like, box scrambler, like, and he's going to shoot from inside the box. Like, he wants those little areas. He's not a pick the ball up, facing your own goal, do a turn, he's not that guy. I never thought he was that guy. No.
And I'm hoping the signing that we're linked with is that guy where he kind of picks the ball up, he can do a sharp turn, kind of put you off balance, run, bit tricky, runs in behind, and like off the back of that, our players react, because sometimes you need a spark for other players to react off or to do something off. Do you understand? So a player makes a run late into the box. So your Bentancurs or your Højbjergs run late into the box. They've got a chance. Then it's like a free shot on goal, and then before you know it, our midfield are contributing like we did earlier in the season. And I feel that's what we need, rather than a change of formation all the time. Everyone's like, oh, we're getting overrun in midfield. The fact that we've got now Emerson Royal coming inside, that could possibly be a free midfield. And then you just got your wing back or your wing back pushing on, aggressive. But then you've got one of the midfielders ready tactically to fill in for him as a wing back, just in case we lose the ball. And if they do beat that person, then one of our other centre backs, i.e., Ben Davies or Longley, would turn into a fullback position and will be able to cover in that area. Do you understand when that happens? And will help, because the point of defence is just to delay the runs of the attack. You're just there to delay until other players can help up, or we can get back into the shape of the 5-4-1. Do you understand? And I felt like yesterday that was working a bit better, albeit against a lesser side. Against Man City is going to be different again, because you're going to have my question for you guys. I know I'm not meant to ask questions, but I was watching Sky Sports.
We don't take
I know
questions.
I know that's not your job. I'm sorry. Take your pardon. Sorry, guys. Respectfully. Gary Neville brings up a point where
we definitely don't answer questions about Gary Neville.
No. He brought up a point, and you're talking about teams that are in the top elite sides now in Europe, in the Champions League, and a lot of them have more possession, more players that they've got players on the ball that have possession that can ask questions, and we were like on the bottom half of that. We were like 16th, quite close to Atletico Madrid. And my question is pragmatic football, is that a thing of a past? Because if you look at the top 2 to 3 teams, they're teams that have a lot of the ball, and they have midfield. They dominate midfield, basically. If you look at Man City, the way they dominate the midfield, that's their bag. And I'm asking, is that style of football is Conte for you? Is he a pragmatic manager, or do you think he's lesser for a pragmatic manager? Is he a one that can do both, or is it a thing where we need to get a manager in that does play that kind of more forward approach, more forward thinking, more? Because I know the younger coaches, they're probably being looked at to kind of play this style of football. And I don't know what's going on with our academy. I don't know if we're being taught to be more pragmatic or is it more possession based. So like going forward, do you think like pragmatic is this the way forward? Because everyone talks about style. We need more men in midfield. That's what all the fans are crying for. More players in midfield because we just don't have the ball. Every team that comes to us, we're getting bossed around. Like Fulham should never boss us around. How come they've got all of the possession? Like we should be dominating Fulham. So yeah, that's my question to you guys.
I don't think it's a pragmatic issue at Tottenham. I think it's a personnel issue with the players that we do have.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement.
If we had better players in defence, you're not going to see the team drop us back as further back as you're seeing them do now. I think everything that we're doing now and everything wrong with Spurs is to do with the personnel that we have in defence and at the wing backs, and that is literally screwing up the game plan every single week in, week out. And like I said, if we had better defenders in there, you won't see us be as pragmatic and drop as deep and have as less control in games as we do. And I think you've seen with Conte teams, like if he has the team that he wants and he has the personnel that he wants, it's not the most defensive football. Okay, it's not as free-flowing as attacking as Pep or Arteta and these kind of managers, but it's nowhere near what we're showing week in, week out at the moment.
Yeah, like pragmatism, if you think about pragmatism is not something I don't think that any manager wants to be stamped with. Like other than Mourinho one time trying to like explain it by saying, well, if you don't have the ball, then you can't lose it. That's just like him bantering. But I think it's like if you look at Conte's style when he has a Barella who can be a regista, like then you're talking like that, then that's amazing. But then you've got like incredible defenders and then you've got a player who can pick up the ball and do amazing things with it and build it through the lanes, and then attacks look incredible because they build up momentum through great players who are all doing what has to happen. Pragmatism is forced when you've got Eric Dyer as your centre back, and then you're forced to play Davies, and you have to then cushion that. You have to everyone's got to drop 5-4-1. I don't think Conte would be doing that even against top teams unless he's like 10 minutes from the end of a game and you want to close it out. He's forced into this horrible style of play because he's cushioning a very not solid, unstable defense. If you try to build, imagine, I can't believe we're looking at a Conte team, and maybe he's also at fault. He maybe should have been more vocal about it, but he also doesn't want to crap on his own players, and he's got to worry about confidence. But you're looking at Conte with an unstable backline, and that's like one of the first times you're seeing it. Of course, it kind of then you'll go, oh, it exposes him. It's like it would expose anyone. Like he's forced into a pragmatic way of playing, and then when you're having to play pragmatic football, then you need your Højbjergs and your Bentancurs to be like you're saying. And when you were saying like you were describing the type of midfielder you want, that to me was sounding like you were talking about Basuma at Brighton, because that's exactly what he was doing. And we just don't have
Boston midfield. Yeah,
we don't have that. So I've been looking at it like, tactic wise is like, you could do this, you could change things, you could get 3 midfielders in, but then the problem's always going to be that everyone's going to have to fall. So the 3 midfielders in, unless you're going super pragmatic and having them in a line, like the 3 midfielders in is a way to play more attacking football because you have one ahead and they do the, you got the one in front of the double pivot as a triangle. But again, like you can't get that in if lack of form, injuries, and a really unstable backline. It's like, what can he do? Anyway, he tries to change it, other than the whole, like, go to a back 4. And then you're like, well, a back 4 with Dyer one side and Romero the other, like...
it's not working. It's not working.
It's lopsided.
And this is why I'm confused about certain fans when they say, go to a back 4 when we're conceding so much goals in the back 4. They want us to go more attacking, and we're scoring. It's not the issue. It's the defense that's the issue. So I would have thought fans would have scored and think we need to do something more defensively, or just say like you guys were saying, a personnel change. That for me is more logical. But most fans are saying no, we're playing. We're getting Boston midfield and we're getting overrun, which we are. But the thing is, for me, the answer isn't to go more top heavy, because that's the answer that most fans are saying. We need to go more top heavy.
We're scoring enough goals. There's no problem with the amount of goals we're scoring. at all.
Yeah,
And
I just think it's the
wants
style of
everyone
football
to
because
defend. Conte wants defending to happen. So in first half, you're seeing us now pushing high. So like if you think about Bentancur
Yeah, we are.
sometimes, it's like Bentancur's defending by pressing. The way his mind state is I'm pressing from high. I'm defending high. You know, so then it's
Yeah.
like, but then the problem is if everyone, the amount of times last night I saw Son was trying to give the line, and he was doing the right thing for what he had to do, and he's going into the player, and he's doing everything he would have to do in a situation, and then the other player who has to press on that point was Perisic. The ball went straight to the guy.
Yeah.
Perisic wasn't there. They get cut inside, and they had a chance. And then that looks bad if you're not trained in football. That looks bad on Son for not getting there, or for what's he doing? He's just running around. It's like no, he was completely right. Everyone else wasn't pressing at that
always
moment.
the way. And this is why I don't
Everyone's
really
got
like
press.
scapegoats as well, because a lot of the times, like people will look at one person and be like, "Oh, that person's shit," but it's a unit, and it's like if one person doesn't do their job defensively or press as a team, then it kind of all falls down, and then it looks like an individual error when really your teammate, your boy's meant to be backing you. Do you know what I'm saying? Where's your boy? You meant to back your boys, but for me, Son, like. He's shot of confidence. I was going to ask you guys, do you think the Son and Kane duo is over?
Another question?
No, whoops. It's a question to myself, rhetorical. And I would like to say that the Son and Kane duo is not over, no. But I just feel like Son's lack of confidence. I did see him playing a little bit closer to Kane. And I think teams are more wised up to Kane dropping in and Son doing the run in behind. So I think, but I just still would like to see Son do that run in behind a little bit more, arrive a little bit late. So then that Kane just knows he looks for Sonny a bit more. Because I think we haven't seen that a lot this season. And I feel like if he's doing that more, and especially like if a lot of teams have got a lot of possession, that should be on all the time. That should be our number one go-to. Like teams press onto us, then he's on his bike. And especially think against Man City, they're going to dominate a lot of possession. I would really love to see Sonny exploit that. He didn't exploit that in the last game.
But this is the problem when his role now has become so. Like if you look at the last time we played, when the 3-2 game, right? Son played like you want to see him play, like on the shoulder, like when they're pressing. Son's kind of starting to drift, right? He's thinking about attacking, right? Now,
that's right.
You look at him last night, and from what Conte said as well, it's kind of evident that now they don't like think, oh, a counter can be on here. If this breaks down, a counter's on. If I play as a striker who played as a cam, but like if my job is striking, I don't drop too far back. Even though I'm like, I know we got to protect one goal, just drop. I'm always thinking it's hard to train the brain. I'm always thinking like, if this breaks down, I'm in. You know, Son he's started to not think like that anymore, and now he comes in and he just falls into his position and he does the midfield role that has to do under this strategy. So it's like, that it's hard to see him now go back to, like you would think if we play maybe Preston, if he played like you would think like if he can just play on the shoulder and just get in and like. Get him and Kane have that little through ball stuff that they do, like then maybe he can boost back. But I just don't think he enjoys being forced to come super deep and overhelp at the back, and that's the stuff that would go if you had really capable wing backs and capable left side and right side defenders. Then you wouldn't rely on your wingers having to drop in so deep, and think about oh my god, I can't spring here because I've got to defend as well. It's hard.
Are you more in favor of the 3-5-2 in that? 3-5-2?
3-5-2,
yeah. It's 3-5-2. Yeah, are you more in favor of the 3-5-2 then?
Because I see it as a 3. I see it as a 3-4-1-2. Because I still see you've got your double pivot. You've got your four
That's
lane.
not the way we play it, though. We don't play it as a 3-4-1-2 because
know.
we don't have the personnel. That's the problem.
I know. We play it almost
with
like
three CDMs, pretty much.
But so you're saying you want Kulu in the one? Is that what you're saying? You want Kulu in the one?
Yeah, and then
or you want
Son
Bentancur in the one?
I would take
and then
Kane
Son
in
and
the
Kane
one,
up
you
top.
know?
Yeah, you could even
Kane.
have...
Okay, Kane in the one. Kane in the one, and then I know Conte doesn't want that because Conte likes Kane as the top man because Kane's really good at pinning. I think that's what he's added in his game now. He's good at pinning centre backs. Meaning, when I say pin, he kind of like a centre back can't move. So the
Yeah.
fact that the ball, he's the top man, it comes into him, and then that creates space either for your wing back making a late run, or midfielder making a late run, or your wing
Yeah.
forwards making a late run, or he just uses them and spins off, and like he did yesterday, and shoots. So I think that's why.
Yeah.
Because
The reason it could be Bentancur is because, one, we have Basuma and Højbjerg, that's pretty strong, and if Bentancur plays in front of them, then they can fall into a really strong, if we're under the cosh, like they can fall in. But the reason is like the modern Cam, taking Messi out of it, like the modern Cam still defends a lot now. Like they have to drop in, you know. So like.
Well, if you look at
really
Cam, sorry to interrupt you. If you look at modern Cams, I think modern Cams, like, because back in the day, I used to see Zola as a 10, and Zola was like a striker / winger kind of. But now, if I fast forward to someone like Hazard, Hazard was kind of like a winger, but he's a 10. And I think like 10s nowadays, even like Ødegaard, they can play in the wing as well. So I'm thinking, technically, well, Kulu could do the tech, because 10s are no longer just your, even Madison could do the wing role, but he plays a 10. So I think the 10 has evolved, so you can be a wing. You're both right. I think you can be someone like a Bentancur, where you're slightly more, you got a defensive minded, and that would suit Conte a lot more. Got defensive qualities about you. But at the same time, I think a 10 can be like a Ødegaard, that you can kind of dribble with it, you can kind of beat players, and you can shoot outside the box, and you can link play. So and Kane can do all of that. So
I think if you had a stronger defense, like a super solid defense, if we had the defenders,
you
we
need
want
much
to have
better wing backs to play that system.
Yeah.
Much better wing backs, because there's no quality out wide in a 3-5-2 at all.
So do you think if Porro comes in, right? So let's say Porro comes in, but I still think the left wing back is an issue for me. But let's say Porro comes in,
massive issue.
Like, you know what? Do you know Grimaldo? Grimaldo? Is it Grimaldo from Benfica?
Alex Grimaldo, yeah.
Do you rate him?
I mean, I haven't seen him play too many, but I think the attributes that he does have, he can definitely slot into the system that we play for sure. I just think Perisic is past his sell-by date at left wing back, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's not doing enough for me, and I just think that, like, do you know what? He's got like 6 months left on his contract, Grimaldo. That's why I mentioned him. I think he would be. He's like 20. How old is he? 22, 26. He's young.
We're bringing in Edoji, aren't we, in the summer?
I can imagine them not even looking at the.
Do you think Sessegnon's good enough backup? Do you think Sessegnon's a good enough? Like, if Edoji, but that's what I'm saying. I would rather, you know, like Perry's coming to the end. Sess do like a swap deal, or not even a swap deal. Get rid of Sess, or put him on loan or something, and bring in another left wing back. Because I don't think if Edoji goes, well, we're back to square one. And Porro coming in, I think that could potentially work, because his playmaking abilities is like, his stats are phenomenal at the moment, albeit in a Portuguese league. But you could have said the same about Bruno Fernandes. Let's not get into that. But he was banging in goals for fun in Portugal for Sporting. And I'm a big fan of taking players from Sporting, so as you guys already know. But I just think, like, I just think we're one midfielder that has an attacking brain that can defend away, and 2 wing backs away from causing serious trouble, man.
Answer me this. I was gonna say, like, so where are you then at the current situation? Us being 3 points off third, in 2 cups, like, where are you at? Like, where everything is everything, like Alex was saying, like doom and gloom, like we're all losers, the world's over, or is it a case of, like, this could easily turn on its edge, and if it does, what's it going to take for you?
It all depends on your perspective, on your lenses that you have.
Glass half full, glass half empty. Which are you?
Correct. He's going for the half empty because he's a frustrated fan that hasn't seen any success, any trophies. He's getting bantered left, right, and center. Like, as a Spurs fan, like, we've had 7 years on top and we've won nothing. We've done nothing with it, essentially. So that's where he's coming from. He's coming with that energy. Oh my days, 22 years, and we've had like 1 or 2 years, one trophy to show for it in that tenure under the current board. And we've had 3 managers that are being labelled pragmatic. The style of football, when the style of football isn't going well, then you're going to be that way. Then you're gonna and you got to get results, because then you're like, well, I've got nothing to be excited about. And that's all it is for Alex. Alex is like, listen, the style of football is bleeding, like it's shit, it's awful, shocking. So what do you expect me to say? I've got Arsenal now, they're on a resurgence. They even when they were doing shit, they still won a cup. And also even when they were not doing well, they still had a style of football that was pleasing to the eye. Because even though United lost against Arsenal, they still turned up. They still had a style of football that, we lost, but guess what? We turned up. So it's more easier to digest as a fan. Like, you can get behind that. And especially if your team's being backed properly, as in like the positions that you need. Like United for the longest needed a DM. They needed that. They needed that DM, a strong DM, and they got it. They got it. They needed a centre back that could play out from the back, and they got it. Do you understand? Yeah. They didn't really need Anthony. I'm not gonna lie. They didn't really need Anthony. But guess what? The board did above and beyond, the extra mile, and that's what you want from your board. You don't want your board just to fill the holes and here you go. Like, you're back. No, you want them to go the extra mile. So if a manager goes, listen, he might not be the answer, but I really want him. You want your board to go out and say, yeah, here you go. And guess what? Just for just for being our manager, we want to give you a present. Here you go. And that's where the frustration happens, because the big clubs are doing that. Regardless of how much they're spending, it's the type of player, it's the profile player that the managers identified from the summer or from whenever they've spoken about it. And then they've given it to the director of football. They've gone to do their job. And then now, as a unit, you want your team to be, backed financially, properly, and do whatever it takes and be aggressive and be assertive, whether it's off the field or on the field. You want that from both sides. You want to be aggressive on the field. You want to be assertive on the field. You want to be direct on the field. You want exciting. You want every single player to give 100%. And then you want that with the board as well. You want the board to give 100%. And then the fans will give you 100%. It just, you saw it with Newcastle. Newcastle had passionate board, an ambitious board. And guess what? Their manager got excited. Then the manager fed that to the players. Then the players, it just goes into the fans. It's just the rule and the universe and the law of attraction. It just makes sense.
Meanwhile, at Tottenham, Conte says, I need this to Paratici. Paratici goes and robs a bank, kicks an old lady in the face, goes running on.
And then we end up with Longley and Spence.
We get Longley and Spence. That's not working.
For me, that is the biggest disrespect to a manager. Like, to go behind, he didn't go behind his back, but like Levy said, I'm not getting involved with football. But then he gets involved and says, like, I like this player, I'm going to get him anyway. No.
It's hard not to get involved when your sporting director's going to jail.
At that time, did we know? Did Levy know?
No, I'm sure he didn't. But
are you
the biggest problem?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
But Ash, stop sitting on the fence. Are you? I'm just kidding. Are you confident though that Feb 5th we're going into Man City games?
I am. I'm positive. I'm a positive person, so I am. 100%.
So you're confident that we're going to get a couple players and things are going to change?
Yeah, we're going to get a couple players. And I said it, I spoke to, I don't know who it was, but it was a couple shows before, and I said that. And someone in the comments, sometimes I read the comments afterwards, and so I was like, oh, Ashback's positive. That's just how I'm wired. Even when things were going wrong, Arsenal were tearing us apart, City would do, and I come up on the show and I'm like, don't worry guys, we're going to get players in. Like, even when everything was getting negative, fans are saying, oh, we're not buying no one, Like, I still thought, like, knowing, I just look at the patterns, and I just know how Levy operates. Levy's a lastminute.com because he just feels like when the pressure's on, that's when you come and do your business. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just saw that, and I said in the previous show, I said, is that our style of play? Because he gets a sporting director in, and we keep doing that same pattern. We keep doing that last minute deal. Is it him or is it Levy? I don't know. Like, is Levy involved in these transfers or is he not? Like, I feel like he's involved every time.
He's never not involved. Let's be honest.
He uses the sport director as a shield. Like,
100%.
Okay, it was the sport director's fault. Fire them. Oh, it's the manager. 100%. Fire them. Do you know what I mean? And the whole time he gets away with it with his little evil laugh. Dr. Evil bald head little bastard. Yeah, man. Trust me.
I'll offer you 35 million.
But I'm still positive. Listen, I'm still positive. I'm not saying we're top 4. Yeah, I'm not saying we're top 4, but I'm saying we're a resurgence up. If Newcastle have it in them to slip up. They've never been in this position before. Yeah. Albeit though, they have 1 game a week. It still doesn't matter. Yeah. They still they're on a honeymoon period.
They will.
And guess what? Every honeymoon period must come to an end. I'm telling you. And United, they think, we've got it. No, listen, United have got a mistake in them. United have got a mistake in them. And you've seen 100%. How they look when Casemiro. Hey, if Casemiro gets injured, I feel sorry. I feel sorry for United. Because literally they're living on a hope and prayer that he stays fit all season. And he's not a spring chicken. So let's see, innit? It's a football's a funny game. Yeah, football's a funny game. So we're never down and out. Anyway, I've spoken too long, guys. Sorry.
We can sit here for 10 hours and talk to you about football.
Listen,
but
sorry, I apologise.
One super chat here for you before you go from Zandra says, Ash knows ball. Does he have a channel? Big up, come on you. So this is his channel.
No channel.
This is his channel.
There you go. If you want to find me, you see me on here, boy. Listen, I'm just a fan. Listen, I don't know anything. I'm just a man of opinion. I think everyone should have their say and just say it with chest. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? 100%. At the end of the day, we're all fans and we all want best for the club. So always the division is not needed. Like it's really crazy. We all want the same thing. And in terms of formations and tactics, it's really not. When you study it, really, it's not really too dissimilar. Like we attack with a front 5. Arsenal attack with a front 5 as well. Shock horror. Guess what? They've got different players in those positions, a little bit more quality. We've got weaker positions in that. It's quite simple football. It's not hard. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to end with. That's it.
Big up, Ash. Thanks for coming on today, my friend. Great call as always. And we'll speak to you next time.
Take care, dude.
Love. Come on, you Spurs.
Well, Mikey ruined my day.
Ashmatic made it better.
Alex came on and kicked me in the balls, and Ashmatic lifted me up and carried me to the nurse. So,
big up, Ashmatic. Great call. But just before we get into the last few callers of the day, let's go through this Danjuma deal. What's going on? I'm going to take you play by play of how it's unfolded. So Paul O'Keefe.
Can he play wing back?
Paul O'Keefe says Tottenham have made a late move to hijack Danjuma's move to Everton. Then Paul Joyce says Tottenham expected to now also move Danjuma. Alistair Gold says Spurs are confident of signing Danjuma. Then Paul O'Keefe says medical planned for Danjuma at Tottenham. Alistair Gold followed up from that and says that Danjuma is on his way to Hotspur Way for a medical.
What?
Then David Ornstein says Danjuma is set to join Tottenham Hotspur on loan from Villarreal until the end of the season. El Bobo, which is a ITK for Everton, says that Danjuma had already completed terms, media and a medical with Everton and was set to attend the training for the Toffees this morning. However, Everton had found out that his agent has refused to send his registration form to the FA and he is now in talks with Tottenham Hotspur. Gary Jacob of The Times says Tottenham have earmarked Danjuma to replace Lucas Moura, who could leave this month. And there was also an update from Fabrizio Romano, who said that Tottenham have offered a loan deal for Danjuma, also discussing a buy option clause. Spurs feel they can get it done and hijack the deal from Everton agreement. Danjuma is travelling to London after a medical and media was done with Everton over the weekend. And now he's just given us the here we go. We've just got the here we go, people. Shit. Danjuma to Tottenham, here we go. Deal agreed. Hijack completed after player did medical test and media with Everton signing last weekend. Loan agreed with Villarreal. He is on his way to Tottenham for a medical, boarding the Turkish Airlines flight to London as we speak.
You see what happens?
We've got a signing through the door.
I knew this was going to happen today.
So like, what are you feeling, Brains? What are you feeling about this deal?
I want to call Sai up right now and be like, Sai, we signed somebody!
And I'm just reading up about him, and his attributes that he does have: likes to dribble, likes to cut inside, counter-attacking threat, likes to play short passes, does not dive into tackles. And I was looking at his stats. He actually has played Premier League football, 14 appearances in the Premier League in an injury-ravaged season when Bournemouth, I think, finished very low in the league. Didn't score any goals, but predominantly did play on the wing. In this season as well, for Bournemouth, when he did score all those goals in the Championship, he predominantly played as a winger. 23 games on the left wing, 4 games on the right wing, and 3 games as centre forward, scoring. And all his goals, he scored 10 goals out of 23 games as a left winger with 6 assists in there as well. So I think we're bringing him in as a winger, not to play second fiddle to Harry Kane.
So you reckon he's going to come in on the left side, or the left side, and then cut in?
I think maybe what we do is make Richarlison that to fight with Harry Kane, Danjuma to fight with Heung-min Son,
Really
and then
Brian. Just now.
Yeah, I know, and Brian Hill to fight with Lucas Moura, to Kulusevski. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it solves some problems.
So what are you thinking?
Just relief. There's so much relief, because then it's like the whole thing of like, we're not going to sign anyone, all the doom and gloom kind of starts to be a little bit released, because like if the plan was, which was kind of rumored, that there was a plan for three players, like if it's a case of now we can just motor on and get Porro and then maybe a like a centre back, then I think everyone, like Ash was saying, like the knock-on effect, then everyone's just gonna like stop being so negative. Then we can go into stadiums like and just sing and be happy and want to see new players and want to see things starting to work. I kind of like him. For me, it was like I thought we were closer to the Zaniolo thing. Now I think that's obviously gone, but I think it's a savvy buy. I genuinely think it's a savvy buy. He was killing it in the Champions League with Villarreal. I liked everything I saw about him. I like his strength. I like how he like goes into people's shoulders. I like him better for that position than Richarlison, for sure. And yeah, I want to see him play.
Very interesting. So Spurs have finally made a signing, people. A loan move at that. But Danjuma to Tottenham. Here we go. Fabrizio Romano has given us those 3 special words. And also, I'll just
read... Is there obligation to buy? Or
nothing like that at the moment we're hearing. So I guess we'll have to wait to see the nitty-gritty of how the deal is being formed. But Romano did say they were working on a buy option. Don't know if it's an obligation or just an option. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one.
How glad must he be that's been hijacked? Everton are going down. Like they don't have a manager. Why would you? His agent must have been like, hold the phone. Yeah. Get rid of the contract.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy because like we go through deals, bartering all the window, and then suddenly Danjuma pops up. 20 minutes, it's done. Here we go.
No one knew we were looking.
Nobody knew.
Yeah. This is the thing. This is why it's a case of like last season. When did I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like only a few days that there was a kind of rumor about Bentancur. Yeah. And then it was like we were looking at Kula a little bit longer. Then it was like, oh, possibly Bentancur and Kula, and then bang, it started to happen. And we were all like in hell states. We were like, oh, what's going on? But now it's like, now this one's happened. I mean, this is early for us. Wait.
7 days to go. 7 days to go. We're already making signings. What is going on here, people? And just to recap the update on Pedro Porro, Ali Gold says, while there's a feeling the transfer could yet go either way, there has been definite progress being made and belief Sporting have begun to shift away from their insistence on the release clause being met. So that's also a very positive update. So if Danjuma's through the door now, if we do get a Porro through the door and those are the only 2 players that come in, what would your outlook on the window be?
I still think that's positive, because the hardest thing is to get centre-backs, because if you could like get a centre-back in and panic buy, and it just makes your situation worse. So obviously I'd love if we got like 1 centre-back, almost even more than the right wing-back, because I think if you strengthen your centre-backs, everything else gets better. But I'd love Porro. I think it changes the game if we get him, and this is a really good signing as well. So I'd be stoked with that. I would say that just off the top of my head, I'd say it's a 7. But yeah, it's a 7 window, because you can't expect to get too much done in this window if you're a club like us that we don't really buy. How
would you compare it to maybe last January when we brought in Kulu and Bentancur right at the end?
I mean, that's hard to say now because we've seen what they've turned out to. But if they are anything like those 2 players, then wow. And I've got the feeling that Porro comes here, he's flying, his confidence is high. Danjuma as well. Danjuma's gone and played incredibly well. Hasn't he won the trophies with Villarreal? Like,
I'm not sure what he's won. They won the Europa League not long ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in that. So, So he's a player coming with a winning mentality. Yeah. I think that's a great buy. I kind of can't believe a player of his quality has joined us this late in the window. Like,
it's like when you look at it last season, right, when we signed Kulusevski and Bentancur, because I'm seeing a lot of negativity around Danjuma around social media saying he's not good enough, blah, blah, blah. And when you cast your mind back to that January when we signed Kulusevski and Bentancur, everyone was saying the same. Oh, they're just Juventus rejects. Why are we bringing it in? We just missed out on Luis Diaz and we ended up with Kulusevski. And now no one's saying that. Everyone's saying they're our best two players.
I remember having so many arguments with people about Kulusevski being like, I was saying Kulusevski's world class. That he's good. Like, just look at how they think of him in Sweden. Like how they say he's the next Ibra. Like, so yeah. I think you can't ever go on like what a team's fans say, like, oh, Juventus fans say this, because it's like, well, who actually said that? Or where are you really getting that from?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I can't imagine that any Villarreal fan is happy about Danjuma leaving because of the goals he's given them, big moments he's given them. So I think it's a steal. I think that's cool.
All right, so here we go on Danjuma. Porro news, hopefully to come soon as well. But that is your breaking news for today. Arnaut Danjuma is a Spurs player, and hopefully we might even see him this weekend against Preston. So happy days. And let's get on to our final two guests. I know they've been waiting a very long time to come on, so I apologise about that. But let's get Amir on. Amir, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well after the clean sheet last night. How are you guys doing?
What are you? I'm doing great, thanks. I mean, what are you most happy about? The clean sheet last night, or Spurs finally bringing someone through the door?
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm more happy about the clean sheet than I am someone coming through the door.
I think that just shows the state of our defence at the moment.
Well, that's it, Benji. And that's the one thing. I'm just thinking that if this guy's come in now, and he's not a defender, surely we must be adding defenders to the list.
You'd think so. You'd think so. If there was some sense in the ether, you'd think that we've been linked with all these players, but really that we're in talks with a centre back. Like we obviously were in talks with Porro as a right wing back, but you would think that we'd be in talks with a great centre back at some point.
You'd really hope so, Brains. You'd really, really hope so. And this guy coming in, I'll give him a chance. We'll see how he gets on. He did well in the Champions League, so we'll see how he goes.
That's all I ask of the fan base actually at the moment, because I like I was saying to Brains before, like when Bentancur and Kulusevski came in, the whole fan base, a big part of the fan base just shat on them completely because they're supposed Juve rejects. I mean, anyone that comes through this door, we need to give a chance to. There's no point pushing negativity on them straight away. What's the point of it? You got to support the lads.
100%, Ben. We'll get behind him for sure. And if he's a young guy, 25, he's got something to prove. He's coming over to the Prem. It's a step up, and he's going to try and do everything that he can for the team. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in a Spurs shirt. See how he gets on. We've got a lot of important games coming up, so we're going to need that squad rotation. It's going to be really, really important. But the main reason I say about the clean sheet, guys, it's not even about the win yesterday. It's about that clean sheet. It's about giving the defenders some confidence that, they can go a whole 90 minutes without conceding, that we can push on into Preston. We can really go deep in the FA Cup. We can push in the Champions League. We can go out to Milan with a bit of confidence. For me, that was the so key for that Fulham game. And
especially
I'm just delighted.
Especially Amir against a team that's scoring.
Anthony Gordon's going to Newcastle.
Oh wow!
That's not good.
Thank God we didn't get him. I'm not a massive fan of Gordon, but yeah, like what you're saying,
I think he's good. I think he's good.
Oh really?
But yeah,
well,
I think he's all right.
So in the last 20 minutes, we've hijacked Dan Juma, and Anthony Gordon might be going to Newcastle, and Frank Lampard got sacked yesterday. They're going down, man.
Yeah, that's a tough one for them.
But sorry to cut you guys off.
I was saying, like, the really good thing about the clean sheet, considering that it's against Fulham, who have been scoring goals, who have scored goals against the best teams in the league this season. It's like, it is really impressive for us to put our foot down and be like, the important thing is here that we do not concede a goal for confidence-wise. You're right, I think.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I tell you what, though, lads, my heart was in the mouth when Solomon came in off the left there and bent that one, and Hugo just tipped it round. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So, no, delighted for the lads. And honestly, I think we should prioritize these cup games now that are coming up. The FA Cup, some big sides are out. You know, Alex said that you were clutching at straws, saying, we could get a good draw and whatever. But that's part of these cup competitions. A good draw can help ease your way into a semi and into a final. So there's nothing wrong with that. We just got to beat what's ahead of us, take it game by game. And with the Champions League, obviously we can't get ahead of ourselves and think that we're gonna go out and we're gonna stomp all over everyone and win it. But if we take it game by game, there's no reason that we can't advance to the next rounds. There's no reason, honestly. The Prem, the quality of the Prem now, for me, is miles ahead of Serie A and La Liga and the Bundesliga and all these other leagues. We're way ahead. Whereas, a decade ago, there were people arguing that La Liga was better. So, you never know.
Do you think that kind of like resilient 5-4-1, if we have a lead against AC Milan, we could be getting results by going into that and just showing that kind of strength?
Oh, 100%. If we're clinical, if our passing is on point against Milan, those 5-10 yard passes, if they're going right, if Sonny's, finds a bit of form, if Richie comes into his full fitness, match fitness, and starts banging in goals, there's no reason why we can't advance. And honestly, with the fan base that we got, I was watching the match here in my living room. All I could hear was, the whole time. I was like, is my TV on stuck or something? Or is it on repeat? It just kept going on for about 10 minutes. I was like, that's incredible. So with
fans
that
were
kind
brilliant
of support,
last night.
That's it, Benji. That's it. And with that kind of support, why can't we go far?
Yeah, and also one of the reasons I said that, and I think it's an incredible thing, if we do actually go deep in a cup and kind of like hold fifth, or I'd love us to get fourth or even third, but like if we do go deep in a cup, it's another thing for people to realize that like Antonio Conte, with the problems this squad has, is kind of he's overperforming considering the problem he's got. So it's like it's another thing to say to the board, like, look how well we're doing. We've went deep in a cup. We're doing really good in the Champions League. Just support. Give the right quality players, and then he won't look like a pragmatist. He won't look uber defensive. He'll have the assets, the tools to actually do well. And then the pressure comes off Conte. Like I've said myself, of like, if you're not going to back at this guy, if you're going to give him problems, like a squad like where he can't change players, he's stuck with Sess, he's stuck with Dyer, then yeah, of course he should go. Of course there's no point having him. But we haven't really seen that. All we've seen is him pull wonders, magic rabbits out of hats last season to get us on fourth, and now we're kind of hanging on to fifth, but we're only 3 points from third. Like, considering the problems he has in this squad, that's what I was trying to say to Alex, like, considering the state of the squad that he's inherited, and he can't just move players on, you can't get a player in unless we get one out. Like, who else does that? Who works like that in the market? Like, Conte is handcuffed. Do you know what I mean? Like Paratici's gonna be. But what do you think about that? Where do you stand on that? Do you think it's a case of like? Do you think that this signing now starts to look like a little bit of like give him a bit of an option for Sonny? Give Sonny a bit of I've got to play better if I want. I've got to play better. This guy's gonna come in. I better play better. You know, what do you think of that? Do you think it's incentive? Do you think it's exciting? Do you think it starts maybe the shift to go a little bit more positive?
Well, it's definitely a boost to the squad, and it is some positivity coming through the door at the end of this window. Again, it needs to be backed up with some defenders after that.
Yeah.
But it's a big positive, and I completely agree with what you're saying. You know, there's no point in having Conte here if we don't back him properly. It's just nonsense. And you know, unfortunately, our fan base is very divided at the moment. You know, some people want rid of him and get Sean Dyche in. I mean, you're off your head. You know what I mean? If you think that, and then there's other people that want to get Conte out because the football isn't that attractive and would rather have 3 or 4 years of, you know, a rebuild and all this and playing attractive football and losing at home to Burnleys and Southamptons and whatnot under Poch, which I'm not for. I'm for backing Conte, backing the man who's won trophies all over the globe.
He's our quickest, shortest route to success. Like, he's a born winner. Don't mess around. Give him the tools he needs, and you might get success. Or move on to someone else. Even bring Poch back in. I'd love to see Poch again, but like bring him back in. Start all over again. 5-6 years. Like, what would you rather do? I mean, to me,
and it's just like consistent changing of philosophies as well. I mean, this club needs a clear plan, a clear pathway, and to stick to it. Enough of this chopping and changing every 6 months, different philosophies here, different philosophies there. Look at Arsenal. Arsenal are the perfect example. You stick with a manager, even if he's being clowned on, you stick with the path and you keep on that same track.
If he wants to get rid of people, he gets rid of them.
Yeah.
This club is going to find it tough to, you know, like Conte can come in and like try to bring a winning mentality, but how do you bring a winning mentality to players who have been in this squad for 9 years, players who have like gone far and then lost, and they just do not believe that they can do it. That's where the Spursy thing comes from for me. Like, you know, like how do you win if Dyer is your centre back? For certain managers were hooking him off at like 35 minutes.
Yeah,
they were so unimpressed with him, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I fully agree. And you know, you just, you know, Levy sat up there now. He heard the chants at the Palace game. He heard the chants at Craven Cottage. He can feel the heat as well. He can feel things heating up below him. You know, the protests going on last Saturday. So, you know, he's going to have to do something in this window and in the summer to try and secure Tottenham's future on the pitch. Forget the business side and all the property developments and the burger bars and the bloody beers coming up from the bloody, you know, from the bar and all that.
Bloody cinema screen coming up in the halfway lane. Like, just in case you guys want to watch something more attractive.
We've got a members chat from Jory, member for 23 months. He says, for a bed and a free bar tap, I'll take on the central centre-back role. I am faster, I am more skilled, and importantly, I speak 3 languages, one being Icelandic. You got the job, Jory. You got the job.
He's in. He's in. Just as long as I can get a few free pints, Joey, I'll get you.
That's it. Absolutely.
Anything you want to touch on? Anything more you want to touch on, Amir?
Just let's rally behind the team, lads. Honestly, you know, let's rally behind the team, behind the club, behind the manager. Let's get behind the wonderful club that is Tottenham Hotspur, and let's push our team back to those glory days. We got a shot at the FA Cup this year. We're still in the Champions League. You know, let's go out there, support the team as much as we can, and stop the infighting that's going on between fans, because that's not going to help the situation.
Final question, Amir. With all the doom and gloom that's been happening over the past couple of weeks, is it glass half full or glass half empty for you, with 3 points outside the top 4, still in the FA Cup and the Champions League?
It's definitely glass half full, as long as Kane's still at the club. It's got to be glass.
That's a good answer.
You're
just saying it's always glass half.
Big up,
that guy, he's a magic man. He's a magic man, honestly. I don't know what we do without him. And, you know, after the Boxing Day game at Brentford, I came out of the stadium thinking if we didn't have him, we'd be probably a mid-table club, to be honest. To be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Amir, always great to chat to you, my friend. Sorry for the long wait of getting on, and we'll speak to you next time.
Take care,
worries, lads. Take it easy. See you next time. Come on,
Big up. Come on. All right, let's get through these super chats. Then we'll bring on the last caller of the day. 3 hours and 10 minutes we've been going for, so big up to all of you. Matt Card says, finally a win. Great to see Brains on the show. Lazy8 says, Harris, Army and Kildare Spurs will be at the Milan match, so sorted for you, Sim.
Nice.
Except my name's Ben, but don't worry about that. Not Hyung, not Min, but Son, says Danjuma. Hijack, lads. Mikey says, as I've said this, Zaniolo has agreed for Spurs. Danjuma is coming and Porro is apparently close of being agreed. I don't believe this bloody timing. Arav Kumar says Danjuma provides two crucial qualities which Son seems to have lost: physicality and speed, basic requirements for counter-attacking teams for front three. What do you say
Great
to that?
point. I 100% agree.
Brandon Troller saying Danjuma is better than Zaniolo. Get in for Son. Now we sign Porro in Capie. It'll be near perfect window, but knowing Levy will end up with Maguire and Lamptey. Not wrong though, is he?
No, not at all. Tell you what though, get Hincapi and Porro and with Danjuma in.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to say that's like, for where our expectations were, I'd say that's like a 9 window.
Well, there's two defenders right with 6 months left, which is Hincapié and Ndika. I mean, I've heard Spurs are linked with Ndika and could be making a late move in the window for him.
Both got 6 months left. I don't know why you wouldn't just get them both in.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, get them both in.
Who would you prefer out of the two?
I really liked Hincapi, like just what I saw recently. Like, I thought he was going to be one of these players who's not strong. Because I've heard he's like really good with the ball at his feet. He's quite, he can play on the wing, But I thought he was really strong. Like just the little bits that I've seen him, like little bits in the World Cup and stuff. I thought he was strong. He's like he's got a bit about him.
Raw talent though, isn't he?
Yeah. He's young, but the thing with the Ndika is that he's more proven. Like he's in the Champions League. He's playing all the time. He's like. I can't believe like they haven't like secured him.
So like for a Conte team, that means you probably prefer Ndika more than Hincapié because he's the one that can more come in straight away.
Ndika's left-footed as well. Like he's really good at like whipping balls through. Yeah, and he's strong as well. Yeah, but I'm just going by like I can't believe we get Ndika, but like I'd love if we could. He would be my priority. I'd love if they just got Hincapié anyway because he's like a young, like he's a great player.
Yeah.
And also Ndika can play in the centre, can't he? Like of a centre back, he can do that. It's not his best, but if you had either one of them, I would say that there's a potential of us potentially going to a back four because those players are strong.
Yeah, and it just goes back to what I was saying before with Romero, a bit of air of Jan Vertonghen before Toby came to the club, where you always knew there's more to come from Jan Vertonghen, but we never really saw it until he had that partner in Toby Alderweireld. And I kind of feel the same about Romero, is that once he gets a better partner next to him, we're going to see a much better Romero.
All about partnerships. Yeah. It's who you pass the ball to. It's how they pass the ball to you. It's like you could see last night how they were putting squiff weird passes to each other and also thinking too long on the ball. Like, do I want to just go quickly to him? Like, give him the ball, like, so it's that kind of stuff. Like, if you've got a good relationship with a partner, like, Jan and Toby, then I'd love to see that again.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last super chat from Jaden saying, let's still chant Levy out regardless of signings.
Of course.
And I completely agree with that.
That's important.
Completely agree with that. It's very important. But anyway, let's get our last caller of the day. Oh, he's gone. KPV has left the building, people. So that means we're going to leave the building too. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's been a very good stream for us. I mean, we've got the reviews in. And we got a signing through the door. Arnaut Danjuma, here we go. Hopefully, in the next 24 hours or so, we'll hear more news about Porro too. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Player ratings will be up next. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.